Your mom and dad. Your mom and dad. Your mom and dad. Your mom and dad.
Well, welcome home, family.
Welcome,
It's your mom and dad. Yes, welcome.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning. Hello, Lee.
Hello.
Hello, husband.
Sup, babe?
Okay, how are you doing today? Last week on Wednesday, you were hungover, and then on Friday, you were having your day of reckoning agitation mode. So how are you feeling today?
I'm feeling good.
You are?
I got my orange
Yes.
on. You know what I mean? This is kind of fly. No, it's kind of loud, and I matched the background. No big deal. But no, it's good. Things are good. Life is good. I can't complain. I'm actually in a good mood. You know, no more reckoning.
Wow.
You know, actually, no one paid the price last week. I just myself.
Just an internal reckoning?
Because obviously there's some deep-seated insecurities that I haven't worked through. So the reckoning was really against myself, and that's something I'm working on.
And you had therapy then too, right?
I did. I cried in therapy.
Yeah, you called me because I was gone and you were like, I just cried in therapy. I was like, the day of reckoning, the tears have been released. The reckoning came forth in water coming from your eyes.
Whoa, that was very like Greek mythology or something.
Thank you. I'm working on it.
Yeah, no, I cried in therapy and that was good. Just, you know, it was one of those things too. I didn't see it coming. It wasn't even like we were just talking about something and all of a sudden it triggered something and then I literally felt it. And you know what I did?
What'd you do?
I let it happen. And that's something that you knew, you know what I mean?
You just
I didn't
let
fight
the
it.
tears. Yeah. Yeah. Because you're not a big crier. And sometimes I'm like,
Not a
babe,
huge
just
crier.
let the waters flow.
I released the dam. I opened it up. I let it flow. My emotions were brought out, my peace, and I felt very peaceful because of it, you know?
Yeah.
It's very interesting how the crying thing is like, you know, I don't do it very often, but when I do it, it's very
feels
cleansing
good.
and it does feel good. Lee, do you cry?
I do cry. It's been a while, but the other day I had just a single tear
Oh, that's so
in
poetic.
my like right eye as I was driving, and it just wouldn't fall. It was so weird. I'm like, am I about to just cry right now?
And it was just stuck there.
And it was just stuck there.
It was like a movie or like...
I was like, what's going on?
Wait, so are you a car crier?
Yeah. I love a good car cry, car scream, you know.
Yes.
Car scream. Yeah,
Just-
you know. Yeah.
So good.
I just feel
Something
safe
about
in my
you
car.
guys. Lee is like the most low key,
Just the kindest, warmest
Sweet,
person you've ever
kind.
encountered in your whole life.
The last person in the world I could ever picture screaming is Lee. So I love this side of you. I love him just coming over to our house and being like, "Hey guys, how's it going? So sweet, so kind. Nothing but nice things to say." They get in the car and be like,
Just in my Prius.
You've
just
got to
like,
let it out somewhere.
he's just smashing into cars, just like that's his day of reckoning. It's like
You got to let it out. Sometimes I'll shout in the car. Sometimes I love a good car cry. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I was driving home. So I went to a festival this past weekend. Well, actually, I didn't go to the festival. I did not go to the festival, but Katie Thurston invited me to a bunch of the parties, which shout out Katie. Katie and I have become very good friends.
Besties,
Like that's my girl. And we spent the whole weekend together. She took me everywhere, parties I would never have been able to get into. She let me be her plus one. We had the best time. But because I had this amazing time and I had so many like really deep, impactful conversations. Also shout out Stephen Lovegrove. We had just this like beautiful conversation. I drove home from the festival, wept for 2.5 hours in the car, just releasing everything. I got home and Evan's like, "How are you?" And my eyes are just so watery. He's like, "What happened?" I'm like, "I feel free." And I just let everything out and all the tears were just flowing. It was
I said,
so
"Cool,
good.
now take Ember. I'm gonna go golfing." No, yeah. I mean, you seemed, and then since then, you've been 2 comments away from a cry.
I have cried so much in the past few days, and normally I'm not like, I mean, you know me, when the cry hits, it hits.
Sure.
But I'm not like a regular crier.
You're not like it's easy to make her cry.
No,
it's
no.
like, but you're in touch with your emotions for sure.
Yes.
But you're also not like, "Oh my God, I just saw the cutest dog, and I started crying. Like, that's not your type of cry.
And when I'm sad or hurt, I don't typically cry.
Right.
I cry when I'm happy a lot of times, which has been the past few days. Like, anything is setting me off. Like, any beautiful moment, any thought about something powerful. Evan just keeps walking into the house.
She was just watching a show, and I just see her eyes are like bloodshot red. And I'm like, what's going on in here? She's like, I was crying because this moment happened. And I'm like, it's 3 p.m. Like, no one cries at 3 p.m. It's like a morning, nighttime thing. You know?
You know for a fact when Zack met Bliss's mom, I was bawling the entire time. When Bliss's magical, incredible mom, who I wish to be the mother to us all, was bringing him into the family, I was sobbing. It's felt really good. So if I cry at any point during this episode, just prepare yourself, family, because I'm on the brink. Even talking about it, I'm like, am I going to start crying right now?
You let everything, it's kind of like the gates, like my thing was like a valve open and close. You just left the valve open, which is really what we're truly, trying to achieve in our lives. And you've done it. You're in nirvana.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
But it's all the good tears. It was just such a good release. And like I said, so many like really impactful conversations with Katie and then Stefan. I was just like, oh my gosh. And also, by the way, definitely ran into some Bachelor people and wanted to say this. To all of the Batch Nation fam out there, ran into Brandon and Serene. There could not be a more lovely, sweet, kind, beautiful couple ever. Like everything you see on the screen, that is the two of them. So I just wanted to shout them out. I met them and I was just like, I met them briefly at Stefan's party, but we talked for a little bit this weekend and I'm like, you two are incredible. So shout out to them.
Shout out.
Anywho, gotta take a quick pause, but after that, I have been saving a story that I told you I wanted to tell you about something that did happen this week. And it's taken everything for me not to share this with you because the whole weekend was magical.
Yeah.
But then there was this one moment.
Okay.
And I gotta tell you about it. Okay.
Right,
but first, quick pause.
Yes.
Family, so one of our goals is to start traveling more with Ember. It's one of our goals. And before traveling, I'd really love to start working on learning different languages. So I am ready for Babbel. Thanks to Babbel, the language learning app that sold more than 10 million subscriptions, there's a fun and easy way to learn a new language. It's amazing. Babbel teaches bite-sized language lessons that you'll actually use in the real world.
Babbel's 15-minute lessons make it the perfect way to learn a new language on the go, and their expertly crafted lessons are built around real life. Other language learning apps use AI for their lesson plans, but Babbel lessons were created by over 100 language experts. It's the real deal. Their teaching method has been scientifically proven to be effective.
Plus, Babbel's speech recognition technology helps you to improve your pronunciation and accent. With Babbel, you can choose from 14 different languages, including Spanish, French, Italian, and German, and there are so many ways to learn with Babbel. In addition to lessons, you can access podcasts, games, videos, stories, and even live classes. Plus, it comes with a 20-day money-back guarantee. Right now, get up to 55% off your subscription when you go to babbel.com/momdad. That's babbel.com/momdad for up to 55% off your subscription. Babbel, language for life. Okay, so let me tell you about what happened.
Okay.
So one of the nights we went to a party called Neon Carnival that's like, it's at nighttime, it's packed, the energy is high, tons of people there, right? And there were two moments that I had that were so unique during this fantastic experience. One of them, I'm just like walking around and this guy comes up to me, this younger guy, and he's like, hey, I'm a psychic and I just want to have a moment with you. I feel like I'm being drawn to you and I want to let you know a few things. Okay. This man delivered a message that like really touched my heart, talking about some parenting things, talking about where I'm going in life. Everything like really lined up and it was so encouraging. And that was like a magical moment.
Right.
So I'm like in this huge crowd and this man comes up to me and I'm like, oh my God, I'm having this really powerful moment. Well, I had another moment where I was grabbing some food sitting down and, because it's so crowded, you end up sitting with numerous people.
Sure.
And there's this guy sitting across from me who's an older man. And we just start talking and asking, what do you do? What's going on with your life? Da-da-da.
Well, you were talking to a guy? What? Thought we talked about this. Already not off to a good start here.
Just wait. So he then lets me know that he is this like world famous life coach, psychic energy reader. And in our conversation, he'd asked me like about myself, and I just kind of told him briefly what I did and that I'm married, I have a kid. And he then says, stop. I need to just say something to you right now. He's like, I normally, I charge for these moments, but I need to say something to you. I just need you to feel and know that yes, it's true. Your marriage, it's not it.
Are you serious? So this is what he said?
He said, your marriage, I know you're wanting and you're lacking, and I'm just confirming that your marriage, it's not it. And I immediately...
And he goes, I would love to have you back to my place.
And I go, oh, no. I'm like, I'll be honest with you. There's a lot in my life that is challenging and that I struggle with. But the one thing that feels really, really solid in my life is my marriage and my relationship with my husband. I'm like, he's like, that's my guy. I'm like, that's my steady forever. And he's like, well, number one, you're like his mom. And number two, you feel that way.
This guy's the worst energy reader of all time.
He's like number one.
Listen, I could understand how you could, with any marriage, say like, it's not it, right? And like this guy's so fucking bad at his job. It's insane. He's literally lying. Because like, he's the worst. I mean, don't hire whoever this guy is. Don't hire him because my thing is this.
Apparently he's very expensive.
Sure, of course, according to himself. But here's the thing. You could walk up to anyone, right? You could say your marriage is a struggle. And I would probably say you're 50%, maybe more right.
Sure. Because there's also struggles in all marriages.
Struggles,
everyone has a struggle in their marriage.
And a lot of people are unhappy out there.
Course.
And so like that's not a crazy thing to say to someone, right? Especially if you're trying to shock. Like he's clearly trying to shock you. He's trying to say some crazy shit, But to then dive down deeper and take a swing at "You're my mother." Guys, here's something you got to know about our marriage. Jess is many things to me. She is my best friend. She is my life partner. She is my person who I talk to the most. She's absolutely brings light to my life.
Mother.
I
know. I looked at him and I'm like, listen, sir, if anything, I should probably work on my nurturing skills.
Well, no, it's like, you could call me a mother a little bit. Like, if you walk up to me and said, hey, you're being their mother, I'd be like, I could see that angle
like, if
more.
anyone's the mother in the relationship, it's going to be Evan.
It's like,
but then he goes, number one, you're like his mother. And number two, you might think that he's your person forever, but he does not feel that way and he wants to get out.
This guy was trying to sleep with you. Don't get it twisted. It's the clearest form if he was trying to sleep with you.
And I was literally like, and then I started to get defensive.
Yeah, because you're like, what the hell,
first
bro?
I was like, okay, I'm just gonna let this happen, whatever. And when he said that at first, I'm like, no, I mean, clearly this guy's really off, but like it is what it is. And then I'm sitting at this table in the middle of this like beautiful moment that I'm having defending my marriage, and I'm like, listen, I really don't think my husband's trying to get out. And I'm having to defend myself where I'm like, he's the type of person who if he didn't want to be here, he wouldn't be here. And I'm going off and he's just like,
oh, because this whole thing was like, where's your husband kind of thing.
No, not at all.
Oh.
No, not at all. Oh. He was just doing this whole rant about, if it doesn't happen now, it's going to happen later. It's going to be really, really bad. He's holding back from you.
Jesus.
And
imagine
literally, and it was like a 20-minute conversation of him just like telling me why we're not supposed to be together. And it was wild.
This is pretty amazing. For so many reasons. But my main also reason is like, you're at a festival having a great time.
I'm having a great time.
Imagine walking up to someone and being like, sorry, let me re-say that. Imagine walking up to someone and being like, hey, and you're just like, tonight's the night.
Yeah. That's what I was doing.
Lives. And you're just like,
I was
your
dancing while I
mom's
was
gonna
eating.
die in 4 days. It's just like, what? It's like, just needed to tell you, most people pay for this. Your mom's dead. And you're like, what? Like, that's basically what he's trying to do.
Yes, 1,000%. And I was.
And you can sleep in my bed if you're a little scared of just life right now. Like, that's basically what he was trying to do. He was trying to get you to go, no, it's not the case. I don't feel that way. I'm telling you right now, I am an energy reader, and I will tell you right now, it's true, and you're his mother. Well, I can be kind of his mother. You're kind of right.
Yeah.
Oh, listen, and you need to stand up for yourself and really get a true man.
No.
Yeah, maybe you're right. I just don't know where to find him. I do, right here. Like, that is what he was. I mean, who knows if the guy even was an energy reader? He might have just had a golden fedora, and that was his move to get another makeout.
God, yeah.
Maybe this guy was in the makeout game. And he was like, I'm trying to get 10 makeouts tonight. I have an idea.
Maybe. But I was sitting there and I was just then, like I said, I was getting so defensive. And anytime he'd say something, I'd bat it back with like the truth and with like knowledge. Be like, no, sir, this is not the case because X, Y, and Z. And then he would just look at me and go, no.
I know what's going on.
And he was shaking his head at me and he goes, no.
And all of a sudden he starts floating. He's just like...
I mean, then I would have taken him seriously.
Yeah, that's true.
Then I would be like, shit, maybe I gotta
like,
go back and
shit,
end
this
this
guy's floating.
relationship. But think if I would have been like in a susceptible place. I just come home from this
Yeah,
from
like
this
we
party.
had a huge fight and we were like
Yeah.
not talking
And I
or
come home
something.
from this party and I'm like, well, I knew it. Time to end. And he made some comment at one point where
and
he's
you
like,
walk in and I go, Google Gaga. Mommy,
you're like my mommy.
where have you been?
And then at one point he said too, he was like, do you want to do what's best for your kid? And then I go, sir, do not bring my child into this. Do not bring my
what a
child.
piece of shit
I'm like,
this guy
he's
is.
just like, I just don't think that and I'm like, this is an amazing dad. I was getting so heated.
The first thing you should have said when he goes, your marriage is not going to, you go look at me and go, sir, I don't want to sleep with you. I'm sorry. I know what this whole thing is, but I don't want to sleep with you. I'm not interested at all. And he would have been like, well played, understood. I mean, I just like how we go, that's amazing. I was not expecting this.
No, it was pretty legendary. It was a terrible moment, but it also was a very epic moment that I like walked away and I'm like, what in God's name
kind of a
just
good
happened?
story,
It was a
know?
great story.
Wow.
But I never got his like full
Just
name.
the downer party guy. He walks around giving people devastating news about their personal
I never got
lives.
his full name because I wanted them to look him up
Yeah.
afterwards and be like, is this guy really a big time life coach? First of all, I'm like, life coach? I'm like, sir, you are making me depressed and angry.
Yeah.
And he was like, it's part of the process, baby. It's part of the process. He's like, you got to have those hard, rough
Did you say baby?
times. No.
Oh, thank God.
So you gotta have those hard, rough, real
Sweetheart.
conversations.
He's just this old Italian gangster. And he's just like, the problem is fucking marriage is in the toilet.
The problem is he doesn't love you.
Doesn't love you. Your mommy to him. I don't know why. That would just be insane.
So yeah,
Wow.
that was my story.
What a great guy.
Yeah, fantastic. I was like, are you reading off of me that I've been watching a ton of Love is Blind? Maybe that's what he was reading. I've just been watching all these relationships just
he's
bombing.
confusing.
So he's seeing those
Seeing a
relationships.
mess, but it doesn't realize it's not yours.
And he's like, all she's thinking about right now is Love is Blind. So that's all he's getting off of me. I don't know.
You know what you should, it would have been interesting if you in the moment like saw that he was trying to hook up with you and said like, yeah, I mean, I kind of am like on the edge and I don't know what to do. Who do you think I should be looking for? And he starts describing himself.
If I could go back and rehab this
Yeah, you could
conversation,
really have fun with it.
if I would have been mentally prepared, I would have had such better answers. But I was like,
Yeah, you were pissed.
I was pissed, but I was also bewildered.
Right.
I was also so confused, and it was also so loud. So I kept having to be like, wait, what did you say? And having him like repeat everything. So
somewhat like, and it's funny too because you just had the psychic walk up to you and say something,
And it was
that was
like-
like dead on. So then like this guy tries to, he was probably watching you and was like, oh man, she seemed to respond really well to that. Let me hit her with some stuff.
he hit her with a 1-2 punch to destroy her life
See if I can get another
and
makeout
marriage.
in. God. Your
So that
marriage
was
is in
that.
shambles. And I love to, of all the things he could have said,
I know.
he goes, you're my mother. I love it too because he goes, and he wants out. That what a swing, I will say that. Major swing.
He took a big swing.
Big
He took a
swing.
big swing because other psychic, he took some swings too, and he was right.
Right.
But that was, he wasn't going for negative swings. The other psychic was bringing me only joy on this joyful night where everyone was celebrating and loving on each
Yeah.
other, and this psychic just took a swing that was rough.
Can I give you guys some advice? If you're a fake energy healer or fake energy reader, and you're going
life,
and you're
life
trying
coach,
to
psychic, energy reader, which just goes to show you sometimes there are frauds out there. You know what I mean?
Yes, and,
beware.
And let me
Be
tell you
aware.
this too. Anytime someone says, I normally charge a lot, but I'll do this for you, they're full of shit, okay? Because anyone who actually makes a lot of money and they decide to give you something, they're not going to let you remind you how much they could charge for it.
He
They're
kept
just gonna be
reminding
like,
me
oh,
how
let me
much
help you out. Like,
he kept reminding me how much he costs.
it's like if you have a lawyer friend and you're like, hey buddy, can you just look at this paper for me? They're gonna be like, dude, I can't, busy, or yeah, let me look at it. They're not gonna be like, by the way, I normally would charge a ton for this, but give it to me. You know, like that's the worst person ever.
Lee had a great idea when I was briefly telling him earlier about it. He was like, because again, this man told me how much he charges, and it's so much. And Lee was like, maybe this is what he does, is he ruins people's lives, and then they come back to him and they're like, I need you to fix this. And then you end up paying a fortune.
Maybe that's smart.
Maybe.
I mean, technically, I was thinking about this the other day. I was watching a show where a therapist like used inside information to like make a business move. Like I had therapy with this person, then used the information. Right. It was like a fake show. It was it's like a whatever written show. But anyway, I was thinking about the fact that like, yeah, when you do think about it, like as a therapist or anybody in that type of role, you really could like craft someone, like break them down and then recraft them in a way that you want.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy to think about. So this guy clearly does it. No, but
also he's not
advice,
a therapist.
Sure. I mean,
do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, he's full of shit. But my advice out there to any of you golden fedora guys who want to do a makeout thing, don't just go easy. Walk up to someone and be like, I know this is going to be your year.
Yeah.
I only see success for you.
Yeah, you're blossoming, you're blooming.
Oh my God,
like,
I can tell from a mile away that you are on the precipice of a great, a breakthrough. But don't walk up to someone and be like, your parents never loved you. Just thought you should know that. I normally charge a lot for this.
No, that was 100% what he did. Wow.
Gosh.
So that was my story.
I did not get a make out that night.
No, he absolutely did not. He did not. He got an angry Jess, which doesn't come out very often when you don't know me. That's for sure, too.
True.
But he got an angry Jess. So
wow.
That was my time.
Appreciate that story. That was actually a legendary story.
And also shout out to all the OG broads and members of the family who came up to me over those few days that I was out and asked to see my feet.
Oh.
I got a handful of people who came up to me and they were like, can I see the toes? Can I see the feet? No. I was booted up with two layers of socks. I was like, I'm sorry, I've got 2 layers of socks.
You're like,
they're booted.
I'm shamed.
I was like, this is where I'm like, let's have a conversation about all the things that we've talked about on the podcast.
Did you ever show the feet?
No, I never showed the feet.
Wow, not a single foot day.
No.
Now, are you in your head about it, or it just happened?
No, it's dusty.
Okay, got it.
No, I'm not having the toesies out. With all that dust.
Got it.
Hell no.
Okay, I just wasn't sure if it was.
But I appreciate the people wanting to view them. I do appreciate that.
Because someone could argue that you covered your feet up so that so no one could snap a wiki foot and put it up and give you a bad rating. Someone could argue that.
Yeah, it's true. Okay. It's true. That might be part of my ultimate plan.
Got it,
but no, I was booted up the entire time.
3 levels of socks in the desert I don't know why. I just dust. Foot shaming, dude. This has gotten out of hand. I mean, our marriage is in shambles because of it. This guy knew. He's like, he looks at you and he goes, your husband wants out. It's the feet. That's when you'd be like, holy shit.
If you would have said that and be like, I need to reconsider everything that I've ever thought about our marriage ever. If it was that specific, then I would have been like, all right.
About the feet.
I'm taking note right now.
Oh my God.
Then I would have listened.
Then he goes, ding. Golden fedora. Wow. Okay. Well, that's a good story. I didn't expect that, babe.
So that's my tale that I've been withholding from you for the past few days.
Appreciate it. Thanks for saving it.
Just thinking about it. Just the past few days, just being like, wow, you know what? Like, I didn't like the way that he responded to me when I got home.
Bit of a brain worm, that guy.
And now I'm just like, I don't know about this.
Yeah, he snuck in there. He got into your cranial.
He's just digging deep.
He's digging deep. Now you're in your head. I don't want to be your mom anymore.
Oh, anywho, should we get into Love is Blind? Because
normally we string you along for a lot longer, but we're getting right.
I mean, it's
it.
already,
but normally it's a lot worse.
Last week I think it was 40 minutes.
Yeah, all right. So sorry, everybody.
We like to talk. So we are going to go over episodes 7 through 9, Love is Blind today. And by the way, I just wanted to say this. Spoiler free over here. Did see though that the live reunion aired and was a nightmare apparently.
Yeah, had a bunch of technical problems.
Apparently it didn't air or was taking hours to come up when everyone was waiting for it.
It would drop off.
So I don't know actually what the the live reunion that they ended up putting out was, because I didn't want to get into it and spoil anything for myself. But so yes, the reunion is out. All the news is out. So yes, indeed, we are quite behind.
We are quite behind. But listen, man, we're doing our thing. We're having fun. And I know that most of you probably have watched more ahead of us, but we're here to talk about it, have fun, you know?
So I know there's a lot of people out there that are like, you guys, you're so behind. Why are we doing this? But here's the truth of the matter. And so sorry for anyone who's frustrated. You know how much we talk. I mean, my God, it's already like half an hour in.
Yeah.
You know how much we talk. We're like, we have to take our time with each of these episodes. I really wanted to soak it up, okay? And make our way through. But schedule for the next few weeks, just as a heads up for everyone. So next week, we're going to be going then over episodes 10 through 12, the finale, okay? And then the following week, we're going to be going over the reunion and then like all the tea and interviews and everything that's happened since currently updating ourselves. So that's what the next 2 weeks are going to look like. And then, of course, we have a Friday episode next week, which... Thank you all so much. We got so many messages from our Get to Know Us episode. Awesome. So if you are over listening to old Love is Blind recaps, you can check out that Friday episode.
Or
and then another one. Yeah. So let's just get into this.
Yes.
Okay, before we officially dive in, though, we have to take a quick pause. Family, listen, spring is here, which means a lot of us are out and about, busy and frolicking. So we need those delicious, nutritious meals to energize us. Say hello to Factor. Factor, America's #1 ready-to-eat meal kit, can help you fuel up fast with ready-to-eat meals delivered straight to your door. You'll save time, eat well, and tackle everything on your to-do list. And this food is delicious.
It's so good.
It's so good.
Are you too busy to cook this spring? With Factor, skip the trip to the grocery store and skip the chopping, prepping, and cleaning up too. Factor's fresh, never frozen meals are ready in just 2 minutes. So all you have to do is heat and enjoy. Then get back outside and soak up the warmer weather.
And did we mention how unbelievably delicious Factor meals are? Yes, they are so good. With 34 plus chef-prepared weekly options, there's always something new to try, and they have a wide variety of lifestyle options from vegan to protein plus and more. Plus, you can round out your meal and replenish your snack supply with an assortment of 45 plus add-ons, including breakfast items like egg bites, smoothies, and more. The egg bites are so good. We've been using Factor a lot lately to cut down on money we were spending on takeout, and I couldn't recommend it more. And not only is Factor cheaper than takeout, but meals are ready faster than restaurant delivery, ready in just 2 minutes.
Oh, I love it.
Love it.
Head to factormeals.com/momdad50 and use code MOMDAD50 to get 50% off your first box. That's MOMDAD50 at factormeals.com/MOMDAD50 to get 50% off your first box.
So we love our furry family members, but if you have a pet, sometimes a smell can come along with them. And if you have a cat, you are likely often battling getting rid of that litter smell, okay? You can scrub, dust, wash, shampoo, but you might not be able to get rid of that litter smell. That can all change when you switch to Pretty Litter.
Nothing beats Pretty Litter's ability to instantly trap odor. It's ultra absorbent, it's lightweight, low dust, and 1 6-pound bag works for up to a month without clumping. And something to really bring you peace of mind. Pretty Litter's crystals change color to indicate early signs of potential illness in your cat, like urinary tract infections, kidney issues, and more.
And if that wasn't enough, Pretty Litter ships free right to your door. You don't have to run out. You won't have a huge kitty litter bag taking up space. And even better, you won't have to lug that huge tub from a store to your car into your house. I have seen firsthand my family members who have cats switch to Pretty Litter and how much they love it because of all of the above: the odor control, the crystals, low dust, small bag, all of the benefits. They will never go back.
Make the switch today. Go to prettylitter.com/momdad and use code MOMDAD to save 20% off on your first order. That's prettylitter.com/momdad, code MOMDAD to save 20% off your first order. prettylitter.com/momdad, code MOMDAD. Terms and conditions apply. See site for details.
Okay, so let's get into this. Episode 7 through 9. Let's go through each of the couples separately, like covering all 3 episodes and kind of the main storylines that are going on couple by couple throughout the 3 episodes. And then we can get into Chelsea's birthday party. And then, of course, the very end of episode 9. So let's do that. Let's start with Kwame and Chelsea, because that's how episode 6 ended. That Chelsea was extremely nervous to have Kwame meet her dad. And beforehand, we had learned, she's like, I'm so nervous. He doesn't know everything about this show. I'm nervous about what his reaction's going to be like. So what I'm expecting is very much a bachelor dad of yore that we've seen that, you know, comes and it's like, you tell me why I should give you permission to marry my daughter.
After you didn't even choose her first. Yeah. Right.
How many other women are there
that
you're talking to? She's my daughter. Like, that's the vibe that I thought.
Intimidating. She was so nervous.
And I
was like, okay, he's going to be tough.
He's going to come out swinging. This man, he comes out in a snow sweater.
Yeah.
Okay? With a little Kegel cap on.
It's like summer. And he's like in a sweater. Like, you know what I mean? He's like the nicest guy ever. With
the most precious voice. He sounded almost kind of like Winnie the Pooh to me. He was like, hello, oh bother, Kwame and Chelsea. And I'm like, this is the dad that you're nervous about?
Yeah, and he was just like, the whole time, she was just like, he was just like, I approve of this, and you have my blessing, and I'm so happy for you guys. Like, the least confrontational, least condescending, least prove to me that you should have my daughter thing ever.
The second that she's like, and we're engaged, he was just like, I'm so happy for you, and just embraces them both, and just then for the rest of the dinner just quietly eats the entire time. I'm like, whose father are you talking about?
Yeah, and this is kind of when, in my opinion, you truly see Kwame's like the struggle becoming very real, in my opinion, because he wasn't engaging almost at all. Like, she would talk to her dad and he'd just go, yeah, totally. Yeah. And then I think he had a strategy the whole time, which was just to eat the entire time. So they're talking next, like he's in the middle, they're talking, and he just keeps eating. And then
Kwame was.
Yeah. Kwame, I like zoned in on this. He would be eating the whole time. And then they'd cut and the plate was almost gone. They'd cut again and then he had a full plate of food again. So he was like, I think his strategy was just keep going for seconds and thirds and fourth. And if I'm eating, I don't have to talk. Because like the amount of times like they're talking and he just goes, yeah, yep. Oh, I'm glad. Yep. Glad to hear. And then he's just back to eating. Like, he couldn't wait for this conversation to be over with. He was just like, when can this thing, another plate for me? You know what I mean? Like he just like, you could just see he was like, there was a lot. It was the beginning of a lot going on in his mind. As we see later on in the episode, like so much going on. You could just see everything was starting to hit. So personally, that's what I felt.
So what I felt that was very interesting this episode, and this might be an unpopular opinion, I don't know, and I might be very, very wrong, but I was getting at that dinner where I was like, oh, he's feeling more comfortable. Like, yeah, he was quiet because Chelsea was talking with her dad the whole time, but it was like, there were moments throughout this episode where I felt like, is he down for this? And it's just happening too fast.
Right.
I don't know. Maybe it was hitting me weird, but there were certain moments where I was like, this is not working for Kwame. Yes. But there were also moments where I was like, okay, like when they went to his apartment at first and she received certain things pretty well, that he seemed happy and more giggly. But then when they were talking about the whole Portland-Seattle situation, then he looked like he was like, I don't know. It was very much an energy that I was getting from him was, this is happening way too fast. Which last few episodes, I was like, I think he hates her. Like, I was like, I think he hates her, especially right before dad came and he was just like shut down. Yeah. Now I'm a little bit like, maybe this is just all going too quick for him, or Chelsea is just coming on real strong. I don't know.
Well, it's first of all, I love when they go into the apartment.
Oh my God. I was obsessed.
In her apartment, it's like everything's pink and perfect and clean. And she's kind of like, well, you're going to be doing dishes, right? And doing them regularly, right? And making sure that it's clean, right? And they go to his apartment and the first shot is a dead plant. And then they go to his couch.
They scan the apartment. And it's a nice apartment.
It's a nice apartment. And there's like clothes on the ground everywhere, stuff strewn about.
The table has random bottle caps and bottles and like a toothbrush on it. I mean, it's...
I mean, and then also that he has like the masturbating station. So like
Masturbation station.
It's straight up like if you ever watch It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, there's like one of those in like the room. I feel like they have like a masturbation station. He has a masturbation station. Like she goes, oh my God, and like he's sitting on the couch and there's a bottle of lotion on the table, and next to it is a cloth. I mean, it is literally like, and she goes, "Oh wow," she's like, "Good for you," you know. Like, and he didn't deny it. He didn't say, "No, that's."
But then she opened the drawer too, and it was like filled with lube and all that.
So it's like there's not even.
We appreciate that he has lube there.
Yeah, and she even said like, "Oh my God, we're such the same person. We have the same lube." It's like reaching. When that makes you the same person is because you guys have the same type of lube. It's like maybe you both went to CVS and saw one and grabbed it. Like that means you could, you're reaching when you're like,
oh my God.
Two reachable things. One was when you guys had the same lube makes you the same person. The other was when she goes, and he was so sweet while she's looking at like filth everywhere. She looks and goes, he is amazing. He folded my underwear and put it away at my house. I mean, if you can get that, it's once in a lifetime. He is incredible. And I'm going like, y'all are reaching now. Like y'all, you're panicking at the fact that like he's messy and that stresses you out.
Yeah.
And obviously he's panicking for many reasons. But something that I felt was kind of interesting was kind of a tell to me. Now I don't want to like, assume, but a tell to me was that he didn't think to tidy up his place before they got there.
No, but listen, here's the thing. Okay. Moment. You heard him say, I was packing and I left in a rush. I believe I heard that when they show up to the different apartments, it's the way you left it. So there was, I believe it was season 1 where Jessica went to Mark's apartment and it was just
a disaster.
And it was also just like frat boy central with his roommates and everything. And she was like so neat and type A and she was losing her mind. It was like, what is going on? And then there was another one where I think it was either Amber's apartment season 1, but it was something where it was, or Barnett's, but it was a disaster. And I think you leave and then they bring the film crew in as it is.
Right.
So if you walk into someone's apartment on the show and it's like dimed and tidy, it was like, oh, they did that before they left. Now, if you've gone on the show before, or if you're going on the show and you've seen the show before, you make sure your apartment is perfect before you leave.
Right.
Because they're probably going to bring cameras in and then they're going to shame you if it's a mess. If you brought a camera crew into my place on a random day after I was packing, mountains of clothes. Imagine they bring a camera crew into the room. Dude. Oh my God, I never even thought about the fact if I went on the show and then they exposed the room, it would be every meme. It would be all over everything, and everyone would be talking about the room, and I'd be getting shamed. My face off. Yeah, I'd be all the memes of me drowning under the piles of clothes. People hiking the piles of clothes. But the room's gotten a little bad again. Yeah. I'm really trying to work on it, but here we are.
But I even kind of think to myself a little bit like if I was in Kwame's position and I go, oh my God, I know my apartment's messy, and I know this woman I'm dating is like obsessed with cleanliness. I'd call someone to be like, can you go clean my apartment? Because I care about a good first impression. He didn't even think that way, which hits me as like it's not like in his front to like make sure that like, you know what I'm saying?
He doesn't
like
feel the need to impress her.
He doesn't need to feel the impress. My whole thing is just, this is another example to me where it's like for many reasons, but just more specifically in the apartment, they are at different places in their life.
Yeah.
So like they might like each other.
Yeah.
But he might like her. I think he does. I think he likes her.
They're in different places.
Because he even said, yeah, it's time to kind of get ready to move to Seattle with her. I got to get my Xbox and kind of really move in. And I'm going, if your first thought is I got to get my Xbox and that no, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with the games.
But what about Zelda?
Now,
if you were going to you move a few states for me, you'd be.
If I was dating another woman, I would leave you and my child behind and grab my Nintendo Switch. There's no question about it. I'm just saying, in general, if someone looks at their Xbox as a foundational piece of furniture that needs to move with me, that signals to me I'm moving to a new place, She's putting pressure on him to have kids. He wants to know when his Xbox is coming.
Yeah.
He is like, I play soccer 5 times a week. I'm free, fun, living my fun bachelor life, and I want to date someone that adds to that a little bit, and we have our fun lifestyle. He was saying, I want to travel, I want to do this. She's going the opposite direction. And so my thing is, he might like her, but the issue is, if someone is so like diametrically opposed to your vision of your life, you'll start to not like someone.
Of course.
That's like you develop the ick.
Of course.
If someone's like, everything you like, I don't want to be a part of, and everything you're a part of, I don't want to be like, you know?
I'm starting to develop a theory. I may be very wrong, but I'm developing a theory that the reason that he's so drawn to Micah is, and you mentioned this last episode, where they're kind of more on the same wavelength in life. Like, it's like, hey, she even said it when she met up with her parents, where it's like, not ready for kids yet, want to travel the world for the next couple years and enjoy my partner in life. And I think because that's where Micah stands, that's what his draw to Micah is like, oh, she wants to have a good time. So here's this person who wants to have a good time and, you know, travel for the next couple years and whatever. But then when he's talking to Chelsea and they're like, hey, you're moving obviously to Seattle because you have a remote job and I don't have a remote job, which, by the way, I thought one of the foundations of Love is Blind is that everyone needs to be living in the same city. So that's very confusing to me, because in past seasons, everyone lives in the same city. And that's what makes it a little easier, because it's like, okay, we're all coming back and we all live
There's
within
not that excuse of, well, we live in
we all
different
live
places.
within the same hour of each other. We're not living in like 2 different states, even though, you know, it's 3 hours, I think, Portland and Seattle, he said. But that was confusing to me. So basically just like the two opposing things, like you're saying, it's so different. And then also, I mean, I will say to Kwame's, like to side with Kwame on this, I do think that it is, when he was talking about how his whole life is in Portland, he has all his friends there, he's got a soccer league, like, yes, granted, his job is remote, but everything is there. That is a big life change to make in a couple weeks. You know what I'm saying?
If I was single right now and I met someone who's from Chicago, they're amazing, and I want to be with them, like, actually, and they said, you got to move to Chicago, though. I mean, it would have to be
just
sweep
you off your feet.
1 in a billion connection for me to say, I'm going to uproot everything and everyone I know to move to a city I don't know anyone. I literally would have to, like, so the fact that he's even going along with this, to be honest with you, is like already like pretty wild. Because
a lot of, like, when you look at The Bachelor, for instance, a lot of them, you know, they're in 2 different states, and that's often, I think, probably what tears people apart. But for months, they're living in separate states, like secretly dating long distance. And then you see a lot of people who just continue to date long distance for a while. This is like, at the end of the show, you're getting married. Yeah. So we have to make the call, like, ASAP. And then there was a moment where they were washing Rocky, who, by the way, Rocky.
Love Rocky.
Star of the show. Star of the show. Obsessed with Rocky.
Also, kind of weird, because they're at like a dog washing place.
Yeah.
Where you wash your own dog.
Have you never seen these?
I'm going, what is this racket? You're paying to wash your own dog? I mean, what? By the way, we have a little area with a shower head and soap, and we're going to charge you for it? Like, yeah, it's called a bathtub at your own house.
Or a little
a shower, or a sink.
Rocky could fit in the sink.
Anything. Why would you pay for this?
Because Chelsea is going to pay like, top dollar for that precious Rocky.
For what? Like, what's the water? Like, what's the difference? I'm sitting there, they're in bibs washing a dog, and I'm going like, you guys are at a facility to work. I'm like, you know, you can pay to have people. If you're going to pay, there's people who do this.
Yeah.
It was so bizarre to me. Unless I guess it's like a car washing place where you wash your own car. But again, that's like $5 versus like $50.
Yeah, and then a lot of people, like, you know, they don't have hoses at their house or whatever.
That's more
like
understandable.
You're in a city.
It's a car.
Yeah.
A dog. That's like going to a place to shower yourself. And not at the gym. Just like, I go to a shower center and I just shower there and I go back home.
And I have a shower at my house.
Yeah, and I have a shower at my house. Yeah. It's like, what? Anyway, that was just very confusing to me. I'd never seen that. I had no idea. I was like, what is going on with this place? Like, you ready, like packing the dog up, putting him in the car, driving down there, and be like, and then going back home. So confusing. Anyway, bit of a moment there for me.
But they were washing Rocky, and they were, I can't figure out Kwame's thoughts on Rocky. I'm like, either he's obsessed with the fact that he's a dog dad now, or he hates it because he continues to bring up to everyone, he's like, well, I'm a dog dad now, and I have to walk this dog 3 times a day, and I make sure that the dog's taken care of, and now we can't go places because we have the dog.
Yeah, he's like, I'm already seeing the limitations with this damn dog already.
I love you, Rocky.
I love Rocky. It's not Rocky's fault. It's the fact that he's like, oh, now I'm at home. Now she calls me and says, did you feed Rocky? Did you get his diabetes medication or whatever he's got?
Or is he obsessed with being a dog dad, and so he's letting everybody know? He's like, yep, I have this responsibility now as a dog dad.
Because he even made a comment while they were washing a dog. He goes, yeah, and this dog's like very attached at the hip to Chelsea, and I've never seen anyone this attached to a dog before, but it's great. It's great. Like it's literally, that's how he talks. He goes, it's awesome. But
they start having a conversation where then he's like, hey, what's our life going to look like though? Because I really want to travel. I want to spend, maybe a few years in between now and baby to explore the world together and have freedom. And already we can't fully because you have the dog. And then she's like, listen, like if we have babies right away, when they're really little, like they don't do anything. You just strap them to the front of you and go. And I'm like, Chelsea, I don't mean to rain on your parade.
It's not how it works.
You don't know what your kiddo's going to be like until your kiddo comes. And you also, you got to feed your baby every 2 hours. And
nap them every 2 hours.
And sure, there's a lot of people out there who travel with their kids, but you never know what your kiddo's, going to be like and how they're going to sleep and what they're going to need. And then Kwame's like, what, are we going to go to Cabo and have that baby out in the sun? Like, no. Yeah. And that was a moment where I was like, Kwame's speaking truth right now. And then Chelsea starts talking about like, well, it's okay. Like, We'll hire a nanny and I'll homeschool. And I'm like, whoa. Like there's a lot of assumptions of things that can happen to try to make both of your life plans work.
You never want to sell your significant other on kids.
No.
If you're trying to sell them.
But it's also like, I feel like she was really trying to sell him on that both of their dream lives will work out in symbiosis, which it's like, happen. Maybe there's a chance that all of a sudden you're able to hire a nanny, or you have a kiddo who's just like comes out super like low key and you're able to travel with the baby, but you don't know. And there's a lot of assumptions being made, and I'm sweating watching it because I really do want Chelsea to find love.
Yes.
But at the same time, I have to tell you, throughout these past 3 episodes, I was a little bit feeling, I love Chelsea, but I was a little bit feeling like, Chelsea, you're not listening to Kwame.
Yes.
Now we've gotten to a point where you're not listening to what he's saying, because I feel like he was pretty direct in his communication this episode, and he's explaining the whole kid thing to him with how much Portland means to him.
My personal view on it is this. She is like, she loves Kwame.
Yes.
Clearly. But I think she loves the idea of being married and having kids. I want the picket fence with the husband and the kids. Like, I think that she's getting more obsessed with the life that she's looking for than like the person she's with.
Yeah.
Kwame is feeling that. And he's feeling like, wait, I met this person a month ago, and now everything in my life is going to change. I thought I was just going to start dating someone, and they were going to live in with my life. We were going to live a fun life together, and it was just going to be additive. I didn't know I'd have to change everything to meet this person's dream. I think she's fading away from the Kwame thing. And she even said, like, he's like, yeah, I don't know if I want to do. She goes, well, okay, your feelings are consider them considered. You know what I mean? Like, she's on one right now, and you could tell that.
She's trying to hit that finish line.
And you could tell that when she feels panicky about the fact that he's retreating, she doesn't pull back. She goes even more.
My theory with them now, my new theory, which isn't that much different than my old theory, but my new theory now, I believe that he will 100% leave her at the altar.
Okay.
But I think that they're going to stay friends. Like, I don't think it's going to be like a really brutal, tense relationship, like where we're seeing them spilling tons of tea and drama about each other in the end. Yes. I think that they'll stay friends, and she'll be like, I bet at the reunion she's going to be like, well, I'll always love Kwame. Yes. We'll always love each other, and I'm always here for him. But I believe he will 100% leave her at the altar because it's just too much.
Yes.
It's just too much. And that moment where they were shopping, I think in the 9th episode.
That was gnarly.
I was panicking at the highest level watching that. So we don't know what exactly went down, but they clearly have been having enough tension where he's like, when I ask her if she's okay in the morning, she snaps at me. Yeah. And I don't know what's going on. So we don't have like all the details to that, but clearly there's been tension that's happening. Now, I don't know if she was tense because like maybe the night before it was her birthday party and she saw Kwame talking to his ex, Micah. And so maybe she's feeling a little freaked out, which understandable. But that moment where then he's trying to talk to her and she's just staring at him.
Got those hornball eyes
with
again.
The hunger in her eyes. And is just like, if I could just make this week go by and just do it today, I would. And he's like, okay, can we just...
She's like, I don't know if I like you anymore. And you're looking at me deep in my soul and asking me to marry you now.
And then she's like, eat this strawberry. He's trying to express and talk about an argument and why he's freaked out. And she's like, have a strawberry. He's like, no, I'm good. She's like, nuh-uh. And like shoves the strawberry in his mouth. I'm like, this is so uncomfortable.
Yeah, it was so brutal. And she's standing there like...
He saw her outfit and he's like, oh, that's tough.
Yeah.
And she's like, could you just say I look beautiful?
Yeah, and that was after multiple other occurrences.
The tension is getting high.
And she's ignoring it. She won't engage with it. I mean, then she's forcing food down his face. And he's just like, okay, I guess I already had 5 of these. I guess I'll have a 6th. You know what I mean? She's like, feed me now. And it's like, she's basically just controlling every aspect of their dynamic at this point. And he's in full retreat.
And then they met her family and it felt that way too. Now, her family, when Kwame said, it's basically like 100 Chelseas.
He goes, they're really loud, just like her. So should be good.
Nothing you ever want to hear.
Nothing you ever want to hear. Yeah, they're loud like her. So should be fun.
But you know,
like he's literally just like falling asleep in the chair.
And her family seemed lovely and they were very like fun and welcoming, just like her. Like I said, I really do like Chelsea and her family.
It's not an anti on either of them.
Exactly. That's how I feel. Her family seemed wonderful, but there were a few moments where I'm like, okay, it's intimidating to walk into a family situation, especially coming off of a call that we saw with Kwame and his mom, where we don't hear her because she doesn't want to be on camera or heard on camera. I'm assuming that she's not happy and she doesn't want to come and meet because she's disappointed that he's doing this experiment and that he got engaged, which is really heavy. And we hear that he says, I have a really tight relationship with my mom. And now he's walking into this knowing if I marry her and my mom is probably not going to come. And what is that going to be like for our relationship? So now you're juggling that too. Like my forever relationship with my parent, is it going to be damaged because of this? Yeah. So you're juggling that and then also feeling like, I don't feel like she's listening to me right now. Yeah. And so then I think walking into a full meet and greet with the family is extremely overwhelming because this is in the back of your mind too. You're like, okay, I'm leaving my home and then I'm joining this family. My mom might not be down and they're all wonderful, but it's a lot.
Yes.
And there was a moment where one of the family members was like, so are you moving to Seattle? And that was a moment where I was hoping Chelsea would not answer and would look at Kwame and see if he answered, or Chelsea would say, yeah, we're figuring that out and just kind of let it lie so that they can work that out. And she was like, oh no, he knows now. It's way better here than Portland and he's remote. And yeah. So what I'm struggling with watching them, because at first, you know, especially within the whole Micah thing with Kwame, I was just like, Kwame, you better just be honest with Chelsea and protect Chelsea's heart. But now I'm feeling a little bit torn between them because I'm a little bit like, Chelsea, I don't feel like you're hearing Kwame.
No.
You're not hearing him.
Yeah, it's tough.
It's tough.
Not looking good.
Not looking great. Not looking good.
They want different things. You know, I think I honestly don't think it's anyone's fault. I just think they want different things. And you don't want either of them to resent the other person because one forced them to have kids and live this like she even said, like, oh, you're sacrificing for me? Which
is a whole interesting conversation. You don't want to
start your relationship off compromising.
Right. And that's the thing. It's a little bit like, but in relationships, it's necessary to give and take and to compromise. But I think when you're going in and one person is like, just so you know, I'm compromising all these things.
That's good.
He's going to be able to hang that over her head. It's starting resentful. And then it's also like, you weren't hearing me. Yes. And that I feel like is just going to be a rough dynamic.
You don't want that.
So we'll see next week. We'll see next week with them. Okay. Next we have Paul and Micah. Paul and Micah, and the first moment we have with Paul and Micah is Micah meeting Paul's mom, who is Micah's identical twin.
That's so funny.
That woman birthed Micah, not Micah's mom.
Right,
that woman gave birth to Micah,
Yes,
not vice
seriously.
versa. Like,
They had the
straight
same
up.
vibe, and like the mom, she was like, what I liked about her, she was so sweet and open and like happy for both of them, and she wasn't judgmental of the
She
thing.
came in with the shades.
Yeah, she
and
came
the
in. She's like,
hair
"What's
and
up?"
the strappy
The hat.
top
Yeah,
and the
yeah.
hat, and she was just like,
I
"Are we
loved her.
ordering rosé?
Yeah.
Yes or yes?"
Yeah, she was a party. She was a party. And then she said that, she's a paralegal or whatever, or something like that. So she was like digging into the past of Micah and found out everything about her before meeting her.
She told Micah that she had been, with just her first name, she knew everything about Micah, like her upbringing, her mom having a daycare, them coming from a good Christian family,
Yes.
I believe she mentioned.
Yes.
She knew everything.
Everything. But there was a thing that made me think about something, which was, she goes, and I have a big tribe at home.
Yeah.
And, kind of we take care of ourselves here, blah, blah, blah. And you're going to join that tribe kind of vibe. Made me think this. She presented extremely open, sweet, fun mom in person, which I think she is. But what I do think she is that once you get into that relationship, you're going to have to prove to mama that you are a part of the family. So everything about that first meeting was like, I'm chill. I'm no big deal. Everything's fine. Like, do what you want. I accept you for who you are. Everything's fine, which I think is true. But also I think is true is that once life starts, she's going to be like, all right, prove to me why you should have my son. Because she said, I'm a helicopter mom. He's my baby.
She said that he's like baby Jesus in the
he's
family.
Golden child, baby Jesus.
Refer to him as baby Jesus.
What you got to realize,
Paul.
and then you call your family a tribe, that means like it's
tight-knit.
Tight-knit. So you got to prove that like you're worthy. So like it's all fun and games now, but I do see her being a bit of a gauntlet for Micah in the future.
I don't think Mama Paul is going to be very happy when she hears Micah critiquing everything about Paul's wardrobe and apartment and all of that.
And vocation.
But I do have a theory that she is a CIA agent.
I love that.
That's my theory. She comes in with her shades and her hat, and she sits down and she's like, I already know everything about you.
And she's like, were you guys followed?
And she's like,
what? Did you guys have a tail? Oh, no, I don't think so. Okay, good. Continue. What?
She knew everything about her.
Yeah.
She knows. She says she's like, quote unquote, paralegal. Maybe in the daytime. But Mama Paul at nighttime, Mama Paul is in leather head to foot fighting crime.
Night vision goggles.
Night vision goggles.
Yes.
Okay? Getting deep secrets.
Yes.
That's what Mama Paul is.
I like Mama Paul.
I like Mama Paul.
That's the
a
kind of
lot,
mom
too.
you want.
Yeah.
Because she's the one that shows up and takes care of business.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
But she's also the one that you got to be a little intimidated if you're dating that mom.
Oh, sure.
Like if you're dating someone who has that mom.
But she was loving that her and Micah were the same.
Mm-hmm.
She just kept saying, oh my God, we're so similar.
Yeah,
we're the
that's
same.
Nice. That worked in her favor
It
big time.
definitely worked in Micah's favor that Micah rolled up and Mama Paul saw Micah and was like, oh, my son chose me.
Yes.
Good.
Yes.
As it should be.
Yes.
As it should be in this house.
100%. Because I am the queen.
Because she is deeply the queen. And you know what? She deserves to be the queen. But they go to Paul's apartment.
Yeah.
I have to tell you this. A member of the family, you know how we were saying that it's Mushroom Paul?
Mushroom Paul.
He is Mushroom Paul,
He's Shroom
right?
Paul.
Someone sent me a photo from his Instagram that was just a photo of a mushroom.
Whoa. We nailed it.
Mushroom Paul. We nailed
Mushroom
it.
Paul.
And I got to tell you, when we went into Paul's apartment,
Didn't disappoint.
did not disappoint. I was like, this is Mushroom Paul's apartment. Now, I would have hoped for maybe more like psychedelic posters on the wall, but what I got was like true Mushroom Paul. Like, you know, everything he was saying, all the couches.
Street couch.
They're upcycled. It's a street couch. You know,
Upcycled. Nice.
yeah, you know, he's got knives everywhere, which
Yep.
at first Micah was like,
A little scary. And understandably.
gun kill me.
Gun cut me up. But like, I understand that. If I saw knives everywhere, it's a little weird.
Yeah, I don't feel super safe.
But
That's
I also
gonna be
feel
for sure.
like he's a knife guy. Like it makes sense. He's a nature guy. He likes the knives. He
Mushroom
probably whittles.
Paul whittles all day. Mushroom Paul goes out into nature and like, you know, takes like a very small sliver off of a plant as to not harm it, but also to like look at it under a microscope. So he's got to have a knife on him at all times. But everything about his apartment, it was just minimal wasn't as dirty as I thought it was going to be when he was talking about how Micah was like super clean. I felt like it was minimal. It was tidy enough.
He's someone that doesn't look at decoration as something that gives him life. He looks at decoration as like when, you know, certain people eat food and they look at it as fuel.
Yes.
He looks at decoration as like, well, I needed a couch to sit on, so now I got a couch and it was on the street. So what's better than a free couch? You know what I mean? Where Micah's more like, no, I went to West Elm because it looks great in my apartment.
Correct.
And she's looking around being like, first of all, why are there 2 couches facing each other?
And Paul says, for conversation.
Right.
Obviously for conversation. I don't have a TV. I
she
wouldn't waste my time watching TV. I sit and I converse with my community and my people.
And she goes, there's 2 couches mismatching facing each other. Why did you do that? Because you took this 10-foot room and made it 1 foot with 2 couches. So yeah, so like he's just like functional guy, and she's like not that vibe.
His apartment is purely for him to sleep in and maybe invite another scientist over late at night to discuss fungus.
Yes.
But other than that, he is outside.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Also,
he
like,
spends his time outdoors.
And his desk was like in the corner, like disheveled. Like it was just like, that is the most uninspiring desk ever. But he's like, I get inspiration from the sun and the moon.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I just go outside and I feel source.
Exactly.
Yes.
So, yeah.
But she was not pleased.
She was not vibing.
To say the least. She immediately was like, we're obviously not living here. She goes into his closet and starts critiquing all of his fashion choices. And she was like, I hate it. What's wrong with you? She sees that he keeps his most worn clothes on a pile on a dresser next to the closet, which I felt seen. I do similar things.
They're also very functional.
Very functional.
It's like keeping...
It's easy access.
It's like keeping... clothes in your car.
Yes.
That you kind of tossed back, but it's the day you clean your car that you needed that jacket.
And that's
that you
why
needed
my
that
car
shirt.
Is a
That
goddamn
that
mess.
is not why
and that
your
is why
car,
my car is
that
a
is not why. Now, last time I checked, I don't think you need old wrappers for anything.
The life coach was right.
I don't think
this marriage
you need
isn't working.
trash. I think that's the difference. If you had 2 extra jackets, sure, but I don't think we need trash for
All
anything.
I'm saying to you is the last time I did a clean of my car, I ended up staying out late somewhere and I needed a jacket. And guess what I didn't have in my car? A jacket.
Well, here's what we'll do. We'll clean the car and we'll leave a jacket in there. I don't think we need bags from random places 2
Those
years
bags
ago.
have some of my makeup in it. And you never know when I need a touch up.
Dude, she's straight up is like a traveler. She's
I
like
could live out of my car.
Yeah, you really could live out of your car.
Yeah, I have everything I need
There's
in there.
Food,
and I don't know what the problem with that
there's
is.
Food, there's probably medication.
There is.
There's like anything you would need in there.
Anything
is in
you
there.
need. You need an ironing board with an iron? It's in there.
Yeah, if I said, Jess, you're out of the house, she'd be like, I could last 6 months in my
no
car.
problem. Absolutely no. I could last 6 months and I'd be crushing it too.
You'd actually be like live better because like everything's within arm's reach.
Yeah, it'd be great.
No, that's funny.
But no, she was not pleased.
No.
And also I want to say this because she talked about his fashion choice later. One of the things I said about Mushroom Paul in the pods was I think has great style.
Right.
I like his style.
Right.
I thought he
It
wore
fits his personality.
Yeah, I thought I liked his clothes. So I don't know what the deal is, but Micah wants to dress him a certain way.
Yeah.
And this is then when I'm starting to feel very much like this isn't gonna work at all.
Yeah.
And I declared from the pods that I thought they were meant to be together, but now I'm taking it back because I do think that they both really like each other, but Mushroom Paul doesn't want to leave his oasis. And we find out that Micah is like, I have a place here and I also have a place in Scottsdale, which made everything make sense to me because she's not a Seattle girl to me.
She is such a Scottsdale, Arizona
She is
girl.
like party animal Scottsdale,
Dude,
jump from bar to bar in the
nothing
heat,
could be more
the blonde
Scottsdale than
hair.
her.
She is so Scottsdale. And I'm like, this all makes sense. But she's like, we're getting rid of your place and we're going to go back and forth to mine. He's like, I don't want to go back and forth.
Because she even said like, when I was talking to him about relocating, like I didn't know who he was anymore.
Yeah.
And it was like,
And I'm like, Mushroom Paul is standing firm in his soil. Okay, he's not leaving. He's not uprooting.
He's knee deep in his own soil. And also, he's a very just like matter of fact person.
Yes.
And so I could see him being very particular about the things he likes, the things he doesn't like. And I don't think the moving thing is like, he's just like, why would I do that?
The only way that I think that this will for sure work is if Mama Paul convinces Mushroom Paul that this is the right call.
And I don't think that's happening.
I think it might, because it sounded like Mama Paul is really liking Micah, because Micah later was talking about how they've been texting about the wedding and all the details.
But that means he's leaving Mama Paul. There ain't no way that's happening. Mama Paul's, that woman brings over lunch every day, does his laundry. Like, that's her vibe. She called herself a helicopter mom.
But I'm just saying,
she's the one that brings over
if she's a helicopter
everything.
mom, she can convince Mushroom Paul to
if
stay
that's
with
what
Micah,
he wants. Yes,
because
if that's what
her
she
twin,
wants.
and she wants him to be with her
Got
twin.
it. Oh,
That's what I'm saying.
I now I understand. So it's like I want you to date me.
Yeah, exactly.
Kind of vibe.
That's
if I
what
can't
I'm
have
getting.
you myself.
Yeah, you're now grown. Now I want you to be with my identical twin daughter.
I get it.
Then they meet her family.
Yeah.
Before we dive into that, let's take a quick pause.
Got it.
So family, I don't know if you can all relate, but when I grocery shop, I run into two issues. Number one, no grocery store has everything I want, so I have to bounce around to a few different locations. And number two, so many products can be so expensive, and I want to go somewhere where I can save. Well, both problems solved with Thrive Market. Thrive Market is my go-to for all my grocery and household essentials, and the convenience of getting it all quickly shipped to my doorstep is a huge time saver. Evan now officially gets his Califia Farm oat milk from Thrive Market delivered to the door. New oat milk fan. And as a Thrive Market member, I can save money on every single order. On average, I save over 30% each time. I think on my last order, I saved $40. It's amazing.
What a deal.
Amazing.
On top of the massive savings on each order, Thrive Market has a deals page that changes daily that gives you cash back on so many brands, and they have a price match guarantee. Also, they save us time with their over 70 filters on their website and app. Whether you're looking for certified gluten-free snacks or non-toxic cleaning essentials, you can curate your own shopping experience with a click of a button.
Also, when you join Thrive Market, you are helping a family in need with their 1-for-1 membership matching program. You join, they give. Join Thrive Market today and get 30% off your first order plus a free $60 gift. And these gifts are very good, by the way. Go to thrivemarket.com/momdad for 30% off your first order plus a free $60 gift. That's THRIVE market.com/momdad, thrivemarket.com/momdad. So lately, I've been sharing with Evan that I have been feeling very inspired to get back into learning again. Okay, I miss it. I want to dive into some new passions, spark that learning passion once again. And I know exactly where I can get started. And that's with Masterclass.
I love Masterclass. It's accessible on your phone, web, or smart TV, and offers classes on a wide variety of topics, all taught by world-class instructors at the top of their fields. Each class is broken out into individual video lessons, usually around 10 minutes long. Plus, members can explore at their own pace, and each class is supported by downloadable materials, class guides, recipes, and more.
I love that you can do it at your own pace. It's amazing. Yeah. And by the way, we are talking cinema quality classes that give you unparalleled access to renowned instructors. Like, it's truly mind-blowing that this is available. You can learn about fashion design from Marc Jacob, okay? Improve your cooking skills with Wolfgang Puck, or learn about acting from Helen Mirren, okay? I just started the Powers of Storytelling class with LeVar Burton, and so far, it has been absolutely fantastic. I'm loving it. I genuinely cannot recommend Masterclass enough. I think it's the coolest thing ever. With over 180 classes from a range of world-class instructors, the thing that you've always wanted to do is closer than you think.
I highly recommend you all check it out. Get unlimited access to every class. And as a Your Mom and Dad listener, you can get 15% off an annual membership. Go to masterclass.com/momdad now. That's masterclass.com/momdad for 15% off Masterclass.
Okay, next we have Paul meeting Micah's parents, which Micah then lets us know that her parents really know nothing about anything that's going on.
Yeah.
Like nothing. And of course, her dad's name is Paul. They have some interesting crossover. And he almost kind of gave me Paul energy a little bit. She's marrying her dad. He's marrying his mom.
Yes.
You know,
What
here
could
we
be more
go.
perfect?
What could be more perfect? But that conversation was very interesting to me. Mainly because I felt like not only did she sit with her parents and then just go, hey, mom and dad, here's the deal. This is what happened on the show. We're engaged. Do you want to come to the wedding? Bada bing, bada boom. We're done. Mom and dad are a little bit thrown off. They're like, okay, dad's like in an ITM is like, well, this guy could be a serial killer for all I know, but his name's Paul, so I guess we're good to go. And so they're a little bit shaken. And
My favorite though is his mom goes, but I'm a little nervous that her heart could be broken. He goes, I never thought about that.
He's like, but his name's Paul.
What could go wrong?
What could go wrong with a guy named Paul?
Paul Bunyan? Paul...
The Apostle?
The Apostle?
Paul Newman?
Paul Newman? It's 10 out of 10 if you're a Paul. He's like operating at the most surface level thing ever. He's like, oh, you're a Paul? We're good. See you at the wedding, bud. Hope you're not a serial killer.
It's like...
Hence why Micah's like, by the way, guys, just you were invited to the wedding.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Okay, so the surface level thing, I felt like she was just giving them all the information. And Paul, there were a few moments where Paul started going like, yeah, I know it's all a lot, but the reasons why I love your daughter. And then Micah, maybe it was editing, but Micah then was like kind of cutting him off and saying, what do you guys like him? What do you think? And so he was trying to get a little deeper. And she was keeping it up top. Now, I don't know if that's just because that's her relationship with her parents. I mean, obviously, they didn't know she was going to be doing anything like this, so maybe. But that whole dynamic was very interesting. Yeah. Also, if I am ever single again, like this life coach predicted, and I meet someone's family, and in front of the parents, my partner says, do you like her? I'll freak out.
Right.
Like, please talk about me after, in whatever way you want to talk about me. Talk shit, give me high praise, but please don't ask me, don't say this in front of my face, for the love of God.
So strange. So strange. So what do you think? Good or no?
Yes, thumbs up, thumbs down. Oh, all right. I mean, what are you supposed to say with him sitting there? Are they going to be like, no, we don't really like him?
Exactly.
Like, you don't even have, it's just wild to me.
Very strange.
There was a very interesting dynamic.
Yeah.
But then we meet Micah's friends.
Whoa.
Which is a big whoa. And as they say, sometimes you know someone by their friends. Now listen, I think all of us out there have a wild card friend that we're like, nah, we don't take this person around often. Maybe don't invite them to be on national television because they might be a little rough.
Maybe not to be the ambassador of your personality. But she clearly is her best friend.
But that's her best friend. And it was her best friend's birthday. And all I could think about was the difference the whole time I was watching this, because then we have Tiffany and Brett later, and Tiffany meeting Brett's friends who were just like the most wonderful men, sitting, closing their eyes, absorbing the story, supporting, bringing words of wisdom. And then also like Tiffany's friends were just empowering in love, awesome. Like absolutely in love with her, just, asking Brett all these questions, really caring. And then you have Micah's friends. That was one of the top most stressful things I've ever seen.
So there's two friends, brunette and a blonde. Brunette is a little...
Michaela is blonde, Shelby is... Or no, sorry. Michaela is brunette, Shelby is blonde.
Yes. Okay, so brunette is like, a little more like, hey, tell me what you like about Micah, and, what's your guys' story a little bit. A little more normal, a little more just kind of like... fun party girl, but at the same time, just kind of like a little more supportive, a little bit more interested in their dynamic.
She was like, I like them, or like him.
Definitely kind of sassy, but not anything out of the ordinary. Now, old Shelby is a nightmare. Like, literally, dude. She walks in and immediately is just like pounding drinks and is just like, what's your deal, basically? And then they start talking and she goes, well, how serious really are you? So she's already just like so kind of vibey and negative. He then starts to talk and Micah so he starts talking and he well, here's the thing. He starts talking in kind of a systematic way. That's kind of the way he is. He even talks about, he's like, I'm very logical, very... Which
we had at first in the pods, we were like, we don't like the vibe, but I have to say in this situation, he was just
being respectful and straightforward.
Forthcoming, yeah.
So he's like talking about their story. Micah stops him and goes, guys, sorry he talks like this. He's a scientist. Okay? And then her friend Shelby's like, yeah, I don't know if we like that. We're not used to that type of talk around here. Like, I literally felt like she was just like, listen... I don't like science brain, okay? Right here, we're talking.
Take
Patron,
a shot or shut
right?
the fuck up.
We're talking, vodka mules. Okay, I don't know what you're talking about with all this like sciencey
We're talking
stuff.
Long Island. Mix it all together.
Yeah, I just love how she's just like, I don't know if I like that kind of stuff. You mean science, education? What are you talking about? Like, listen. Like, you can't make fun of someone because they're accomplished. Like that, it literally doesn't work. You can make fun of someone because they're smart and they worked hard and they have a cool job. And like, it was just, so they're roasting him.
Yeah. And then he says, he's like, what is this, the roast of Paul? And I feel like he was handling it very well. He could have come back and be
like, sorry, I'm smart. Like, he could have said something like that, but he didn't at first. And then she kept going at him like, well, what are you going to do? Like, she's like, you better not say anything bitchy to me or I'm going to have something bitchy to say to you. Like, she was just coming at him. And then Micah says, oh, yeah, she's ended multiple relationships of mine because of her not approving. And that's when he came with the dagger. Goes like, well, I could care less what she thinks about me.
In front of them.
And then she
goes, a moment where I was like,
Micah's like, that is not the right attitude. You should care what this insane person thinks about me. And then he's like, no, I care about you. And obviously, I'm not trying to like ruffle any feathers here, but like I could care less what she thinks about me. Your drunk friend is
raking me over the coals right now,
in front of you.
I'm not gonna. And he then had a moment where he's like, I'm not gonna let it get to me. He's like, I do care. And then he kind of stepped back. He's like, I do care, but I'm not gonna let it get to me. Yes. Okay, like I'm not gonna let it get to me. And I was chanting his name at this point. But the whole dynamic, and then and Micah apologizing about her friends in front of their faces to Paul
because he's smart,
and then but saying like, okay, just FYI, my friends can be like this in front of their faces, and then also then saying in front of Paul's face to her friends, he's this way, don't worry about it. The whole energy was so uncomfortable,
so brutal.
But then her friend Shelby would randomly throw out things like, yeah, I mean, if you really knew Micah, like that's a lot to date, like you still wouldn't be here. So then she's slamming Micah. Yeah. The dynamic that I felt going on, maybe I'm misreading it. I was getting that Shelby also auditioned for Love is Blind and Micah got it and she didn't.
Yes.
And because there were those jabs thrown in at Micah and it was like, and then even later she was kind of like, yeah, like I like him. He seems like a nice guy. He's handsome, but like not for you. And then it became like, you deserve the world, which was kind of like a drunk, spiral. So you deserve everything. You deserve the world. But I'm like, I'm getting the energy here that maybe you don't want Micah to be happy too. Like, I think it's a little bit like we want to keep the three single ladies together. And there's a little frenemy situation going on.
As long as we're all single and happy, whatever it is, I'm good. If someone, oh wait, now you're on TV, you got the role, you got the guy. The fact that she's ended multiple relationships shows that like, I don't like you having a guy if I don't have one, all that stuff. Yeah, she was jabbing Micah here and there. And then for me, like what wrapped it all up in like the most just like wildly inappropriate thing was, it's one thing to put the guy through the ringer. It's another than to tell her like, or to tell him like, oh yeah, if you knew how hard she was, you wouldn't be with her, which is like, now she's jabbing both. But then at the end of it to be like, I don't, then at the end of it to be like, I don't like him.
In ITMs too.
No, at like the ITMs when the two friends are sitting by the bar and they're just like, let me tell you something. I mean, they're slurring like crazy.
And the Michaela friend is like, Shelby.
Yeah,
okay.
kind of nice.
Like, I don't like him.
No, and they go like this. So what do you think about Paul? And then brunette goes, oh, nice guy. And she goes, and just thumbs down him. It was very rough. And I loved how Paul handled it.
Me too. I absolutely loved it.
He immediately felt like I'm on enemy lines here, so I'm not even going to pander to this anymore.
No. And I think too, all I could think about was, you're on TV, ladies. Like, I get that it's your birthday, you're drinking, but like, if you're on TV and you're treating someone like this when the cameras are off, yikes.
Oh my gosh.
Yikes. That's a
I hope that she's just someone who like,
maybe she's ramping it up for the camera.
Or I hope that's if that's who she is, then she doesn't like pull it down for the camera. Like that's then at least we're seeing what she gets. But if she's playing it down at all, like y'all are in trouble.
Yeah.
But dude, I mean, honestly, if I was Paul, if everything was perfect and I met this person's friends and that's what I met, that would be a huge that's
a huge red flag.
I don't know if this is the thing for me. Because if all your friends are people that I do not like, That's going to be a really tough one for
Well,
me.
and he knows that her bestie in the pod was Irina, who hurt his friend Zach.
And Irina is hated by the entire cast.
Yeah, you're like, there's a pattern here that
pattern.
doesn't feel great, you know? So that's how that went. And then the last thing we saw of them in episode 9 really was when they had a sit down conversation and had that lunch together. And, you know, Paul had come off of a conversation. Oh, I have to say this quick too about them. So I know we're diving a little bit into the B-Day party for Chelsea, but you know, Micah and Kwame had their conversation where both Micah and Kwame were giving each other, even though they weren't saying like, we're going to ditch our people, but they were both giving each other enough hope. Like it was a little bit like, you've been you were my number one for forever. Like I think about you always. And they just kept teasing it, you know, and having them both get off on that high of like, well, this other person likes me too energy. But then we saw Paul when Amber showed up and he sees Amber for the very first time and we see him go, wow, she's really beautiful. But you know what? I'm with Micah and I'm not even going to go there. So I'm not even going to have a conversation with Amber because I don't want to tempt fate. And it was a very telling moment with Paul that we saw. So, you know, the two of them, when they have their conversation where they're having lunch, it was an interesting dynamic because what we're finding out is they're both not saying we are getting married. They're taking it day by day, which I think is a very smart move on both of their parts.
Yes, 100%.
I don't think it's going to work. I don't know by whom though, because I want to say Paul's going to pull the plug, but at the same time,
I think it's going to work.
You think it's going to work?
No, I don't know long term. But I do
think they're going to do it?
Yeah, because I do think that they really like each other. And I think that,
so
like,
too. I really do.
I think that generally there's some disagreements, but I do feel like Micah has been on far better behavior than she was in the pods. Yeah. She's been in far better behavior since Mexico. I feel like delete the friends. There's a couple weird moments, but it's not that bad. And I feel like Paul doesn't seem to be too rocked by it. So if they can figure out the moving situation, I think they won't have a blowout like Kwame and Chelsea might have. You know what I mean? I think they'll be okay. Now, I don't know how long they'll last, but I'm saying to the end of the show, I think they'll make it.
I think that they're not going to get married and that they're going to be dating.
Okay. Yeah.
Because they're putting that precipice up of like, hey, we're not for sure going to get married. Mm-hmm. Like we're not going to say we're getting married on the wedding day. We're going to decide when the day comes. Yeah. And that's the energy they're living by. And they're also trying to decide like who's going to move, what are we going to do? And both are pretty like, we're not compromising in this situation. Mm-hmm. I could see them not getting married and staying together. Yeah, I think would actually be very wise for them because I could see them working out.
Yeah, and I'm not getting from either of them big nerves about the whole thing.
No.
Like they're not going, oh, I don't know what to do. You know what I mean? Like every other couple seems to be like stressed about the marriage. They don't seem to be that stressed about it. I think Paul's
nervous because he has talked to Zach about it. I think maybe just Paul doesn't show his nerves quite as openly.
He doesn't talk about it that much.
Yeah, but we'll see.
Yeah, because he does talk about, you're right, he does talk to Zach about like, did I make the right choice kind of vibe.
Yeah. Okay, well, next we have Tiffany and Brett. And here's the bottom line, everybody. I don't want to like zip by Tiffany and Brett because their love story deserves just a million books written about it. In fact, if they are together, which I can't see them not being together, they're a couple I would love to have on the podcast after it's done. If they're together, or even if they're not, I just want to have them both on. Totally. They're amazing. But I don't want to zip by it. But it's just been perfect.
Yeah.
Like, I don't even know what to say about the two of them other than I don't think I've seen two people so quickly. I mean, this whole thing is over just a few weeks and they're jumping into a marriage potentially. And I've never seen two people communicate how they're feeling and process through potential, marriage issues so smoothly, so quickly in a relationship.
Totally.
Like they're having conversations where Tiffany brings up, Brett, I saw your apartment, which of course his apartment was immaculate, clean. And he had all of his his gorgeous shoes and all of his high tech gadgets and all that. And she was a little bit like, I'm a little worried about how much money you spend. And they had such a healthy conversation about finances and then how they would potentially split things and communicate. And as soon as that conversation came up, I'm like, I feel like this conversation could implode with a lot of other people this early on. Handled 10 out of 10.
Yes.
And then 10 out of 10 that Tiffany brought it up. And then she brings it up, he communicates, and then she also affirms him by not saying you seem like you spend a lot of money and I'm nervous. She was like, you're a creative and you're an artist. And so the way you spend your money, you know, you love these beautiful artistic things. And she said it in it was such a beautiful, affirming way of like, I want to acknowledge who you are, but also say, this is a little bit of my concern.
Yes.
And the other thing too is like when they had the conversation where she was feeling the nerves for the wedding.
Yeah.
I feel like there's been a few moments where Tiffany is like, are you sure? Like everything has been so perfect, like almost waiting for the ball to drop.
Yeah, she's waiting maybe for like, where's the red flag? Are you gonna like show me that like you're massively in debt or something? You know, she's bringing up, she's like, is money a problem? She's like, do you have like something you're hiding from me? Oh, your friends are awesome. Wonderful. You're awesome. You're hot. You're successful. Like, what's the thing, man? Like, can you please explain? Because I don't want to get married if you got some secrets.
Yeah, but you're just so perfect. But again, it's the way that she communicates where it's so open so soon.
Yeah.
And it's so beautiful to see where then she's like, yeah, I'm feeling like nervous. Are you not nervous? Are you not nervous? And then he's like, no, I'm not. I know that this is the right thing and we're stepping into this together, and just makes her feel great about where he's at, but then also doesn't make her feel bad for feeling nervous and then push at her like, wait, you feel nervous? Why are you nervous?
Right.
They're both so secure in each other. I can't see it not working out.
No.
Like I really cannot see it not working out unless there's something that happens wild at the end, which I literally can't even imagine.
Yeah.
I just feel like sometimes you see two people who find each other, who are on the same path in life, wanting the same thing, who feel so safe and secure with each other, who are extremely attracted to each other, get along with friends, with family. I mean,
he's not nervous at all either. He's just like,
no.
She's like, aren't you a little afraid? He's like, no, I'm good.
But again, that's what I'm saying. The fact but then he doesn't then pick at that and go, well, why are you feeling a little nervous? And then she was like, no, you know, it's just that stress because of the wedding. But then she brings up the fact that she talked to one of her family members and she's like, by the way, your grandparents met and got married in 6 weeks. And so there was this moment of like, it's like they're reliving that together.
Yeah.
It's just perfect.
It's all beautiful.
It's just perfect. And
Get out of here.
And I was obsessed, by the way, with at the very end of the episode, which we'll talk about, but during the wedding dress tux shopping, that when Jackie didn't show up, that Tiffany texted Brett and was like, by the way,
Brett.
No, but then she's like, by the way, Jackie's not here. It was such like an advanced couple thing.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like it was like these people have been together for a long time. They're texting the whole time. Like everyone else is just kind of hanging with like their other people from the pods, and she's texting him and she's like, by the way, Jackie's not here. And he's like, oh my God. It was just like such a couples thing.
Yeah.
Like it just reminded me of like us, you know, however many years into a relationship being like, oh my God, guess what's happening? I'm at this party and you're not at the party. And we're like, oh my gosh, we're texting the whole time about like what's going on and the drama that's happening.
Right. Yeah. And then, you know, you can tell they really have a strong connection too, because she's not even going to all the other girls go, oh my God.
No.
She's just talking to him, kind of being like, hey,
That's
and also do you need to take care of him? You know, like thinking about Marshall in a nice way. Yeah, they're great.
They're each other's people.
Yeah,
I believe that deeply. Okay. Zack and Bliss.
Yes.
And we can now say Zack and Bliss are official. I am so happy for both of them, though I am a little nervous, and I'll talk about why. But I'm so happy for them because last week we were left with him, you know, meeting her for the first time and her being like, they obviously had great chemistry, but she was like, listen, you were with someone else. I don't know how this is going to go. We'll see. But then starting in episode 7, we go to Zack's apartment, which is the most Zack thing I can imagine.
His art piece.
The 2 owls.
And a samurai sword. He goes, I had someone, he like commissioned it. He's like, yeah, the local artist took care of this for me. And it's 2 white owls and a samurai sword.
And there's nothing else there. It's like everything is perfect.
Everything's stark, and it's just that. Like, dude.
And then when Bliss answered the door, they just zoomed up on like a bowl. He had like a tiny floating succulents and like river rocks, and it was spinning. And they like zoomed
something
up
you get a like sharper image.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like a Zen garden from sharper image. You know what I mean? But the painting, I think, needs to be addressed because not only was it the only painting, but the painting itself spoke a million words and no words at the same time. If you walk into a house and there's no art anywhere, there's no decorations, and then there's a large painting of 2 white owls with a samurai sword,
I didn't even notice that.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was like a samurai sword or some sort of sword. And I'm looking at it going like, did he tell them he wanted this? Was this just something he saw? Like it was the closest thing to like a wolf shirt.
Yes.
If a wolf shirt was a painting.
Yes, 1,000%.
You know what I mean? It was just like, but not worn ironically, just like actually worn because you're a big fan of wolves. It had that energy. Like, I just love owls and swords. I like general, kind of more of an ancient combat, and I'm a huge fan of nighttime birds. What can you do for me? You know what I mean? And the reason why it spoke volumes and nothing at the same time is because that is Zack. I feel like we know so much about Zack and nothing about it. He's such a unique character.
I know.
That like him having a barn owl samurai sword painting is perfectly in line with like the mystery that is Zack.
And a tiny spinning succulents
And
where I'm like, I'm not sure what that is, but you know what? God bless.
God bless. I love the guy, but he is unique.
He really is. But he has Bliss over. He is disheartened because he attempts to make her a gourmet dinner and he ruins both of the steaks before they can even be cooked. So he's absolutely devastated.
And he puts them like, in like Ziploc bags, but like to defrost probably in water. And then they open and then like the steaks are just completely soaked in water. And he did it to both steaks. It's like, bro. Although I do feel like it kind of helped his charm because he messed the whole thing up. So it almost made Bliss be like, okay. Like,
she was having to like, be like, it's okay, it's fine. And he's like, wait, do you like the carrots though? Because the carrot, that's good enough, right? Good thing I made enough shrimp. Good thing I overcompensated on the shrimp. It was very
lots
Zack.
Of carrots,
yeah, lots of carrots, lots of shrimp. Because if everything would have gone perfectly, it almost would have lent itself to like the Zack we met at the beginning who was like, hey, ladies, like, welcome to my apartment.
Yeah.
And then he just kind of messed it all up. And
not to bring it back to this, but looking back now at Zack and the Pods after all this time, I'm going, the most golden fedora guy.
So golden fedora.
Because he put this entire thing together that we're now seeing is completely false.
Yeah.
I mean, he literally walked in and was like this in the Pods and was just like, sup, ladies. And then when you see him in real life, he's like the opposite of that.
Yes, he's so
He's like
different.
hypervigilant and a little awkward, and it's just hilarious that he literally had like a strategy of like, this might work. Yes. So now we see him with his double owl and his Harry Potter thing and his
that was my favorite part when he was like, when he looked at her and they're just like early on in the conversation, he's like, have you seen my bedroom yet? And she's like, no, Zack, I haven't seen your bedroom. I'm like, Zack, stop.
Yeah,
do not throw the bedroom line. And then he says, well, it's because I have it programmed that when you walk into every room, a different song plays. And when you walk into my bedroom, Harry Potter plays.
And she goes, why would you do that? And he goes, because it's cool. And
I was just obsessed that he at first you thought Zack was being like creepy, like, have you seen my bedroom yet? And he's like, because Harry Potter plays when you walk in my bedroom.
Yeah, he's the best. He's so funny. I mean, when I had a moment, like I just laughed to myself, like when he was proposing to her on the boat.
Yes.
I thought it would have been hilarious is if he would have fallen off the boat.
Well, did you see that he almost fell a couple times?
It's just like, Bliss. I think, oh God. And then he's just like in the water. They're having to like fish him out and he's soaked. And then like the rings at the bottom of the ocean. And he's just like, oh man. Like
he's like trying to send divers down to go get it. It's like taking like an extra hour and a half. And he's just like, just hold on 1 second. Just hold on 1 second. 1 second.
From the moment I met you, he's a character, man.
I know.
He's such like a Kramer. He really is such a Kramer.
Oh my God. He makes me laugh. But he proposes, which I'm like, holy smokes. Like, this is wild, which I guess it's the exact same thing in fact, they've gotten to know each other better in some ways. Well, I guess they didn't have the Mexico stay, which we were alone for a while.
Way behind it. I was not seeing
most people
that.
were getting engaged before Mexico.
Yeah.
So technically they're not, it's not that different.
True.
But she says yes. And I did not think at first that she was going to say yes, because when they were on that boat having that conversation, they were talking about fruit for about 45 minutes. And I'm like, they're talking about their favorite fruits. And I'm like, is this not going well? Or are they just on the same page and they're enjoying talking about fruit? I can't quite tell. But leading up to the engagement, she was seeming to me like guarded in the best way possible, because it's like, you didn't choose me off the cuff. So I'm not going to be like, oh, yay, this is great that we're together and having this dinner. Thank you so much. Like, she is understandably guarded. So I wasn't 100% sure if she would say yes or not. But, you know, she said something along the lines of, after the proposal, that she was like, said something like, there's all these parts of me that are like, no, because he proposed to someone else first and it didn't go how I thought it was going to go when I was in love with him. And then all of a sudden he, you know, pulled the rug out from under me, but I love him. And so even though everything is saying no, like, I feel like I have to say yes. She said something along those lines. And then we see, you know, they end up moving into the condo together and they continue to have this conversation. It's a reoccurring conversation with them about the fact that she feels icky that she came second. And he then, you know, makes some comment. He's like, no, you didn't come second though, because you're the one I chose. And it's like, well, Zack, let's validate her feelings here for a second, because technically she did come second. You did propose to Irina first, bottom line.
Right.
But that's my biggest concern for them. I really, really think these two are deeply in love. And I really do think that they're each other's people. But I think because of what happened, that Bliss wants to be engaged to Zack. And in the real world, when they had more time, that it would 100% work. But I feel like with this fast track, the whole coming second might get in the way of the marriage, of them actually getting married. Because I feel like she might need a little more time to process that and heal, which a real world situation would allow for. And if I was Bliss, I'd feel the exact same way. I'd be like, we need to pump the brakes and I need to be able to process this, because this is a lot to take in. Yeah. So I'm feeling torn, because on the one hand, like, I feel like they're totally in love. I feel like they absolutely could work, but I do feel like it's all happening too quickly, that she might not have enough time to heal before the actual wedding. That's my concern.
Agreed.
But with that being said, when she met Zack's family, could someone have knocked it out of the park better?
No, she was immaculate.
She was so fantastic. This woman, literally, it was, and again, you know, with all the editing, they're probably just showing us any of like their conversations about the tension in their relationship, so we're not seeing all the other things. But that's when we had the moment where we see her saying everything she loves about Zack. She sat and she looked at his family and she sang his praises, I believe, more than any other person has sang praises about Zack, because he was staring at her, soaking it in like a sponge. He was glowing, hearing her just talk about all the wonderful things and everything about him that is so amazing. And his family's crying, and it means so much to them. Yeah. And it went 10 out of 10.
Yeah. No, I feel like also the show's been cutting to all the times that she brings up the Irina situation and the second choosing. And so like you get this real sense that like, oh, she can't get over it nonstop. But then you see her with the family and you're kind of like, okay, there's a lot more to this. They seem to be really connected. They seem to be, despite that scenario, it's perfect.
Yes.
But she's really stuck on that in some little lot of ways.
Understandably.
But on the core is obsessed with him. So it's like, it has a real fighting chance. It's just whether she can somehow like get over that, which I don't know if I could. I'm just saying. Yeah. So the fact that she's already there and doing this is amazing.
Amazing. And then they meet Bliss's sisters and mom, which is when I cried. Yeah. Because the second they walk in, her mom's already crying.
Amazing.
And they are so wonderful and welcoming. And she's like, Zack, go ahead and tell the story. And Zack starts to tell all the nice things and how much he's obsessed with Bliss and how wonderful she is. And then he starts telling the sisters and mom about how he didn't choose her first and how he proposed to someone else.
Bliss was just like, we don't have to talk about this.
Bliss is like, we're going to go there.
We're going to go there.
And he's like, yeah, they should know. And as awkward as it was, I did appreciate that about Zack, because I was like, what you're getting from this moment is that he's not a liar and that he's not going to hide shit.
Right.
He's looking at your mom who's crying because you said all these nice things about her daughter. Now, Zack, your timing, a little funky. You say all the good things and then you're like, by the way, I proposed to someone else before her and she wasn't my first choice initially, and we're going through that whole thing.
Yeah, right.
Oh, Zack.
Yeah, exactly.
The timing needs to be worked out. But
that's his vibe anyway. He's
I
not
know,
polished.
it's going to be clunky. It's going to be clunky. But that thing, the fact of the matter is you're getting the truth. Yeah. And he did say it and he wasn't hiding it or acting like it wasn't the actual situation. And he looked at the family and he told them the painful truth. And I appreciated that. Mm-hmm. And I feel like maybe I'm reading into it, but I felt like her mom did too.
Totally.
Because, yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just saying the mom responded in such an amazing way, which was like, you know, she was like asking questions. She was interested. And then when he started talking about the fact that like he was nervous to meet her family, being, afraid to be judged on his upbringing, blah, blah, blah. And the fact that like, then it went into the mother and the fact that he's like, my mom passed away and she's not here. And then the mom said, I can be your mother.
Oh my gosh.
And, I just felt like the big thing that stuck out to me too was Bliss's mom said, she kind of made it apparent, like, obviously there's some trepidations here that he didn't choose her right away. And I'm a little nervous about that, blah, blah, blah. But the one thing I do is I trust my daughter and I trust Bliss to make the right decision. And if I can trust her, and if she says he's good, I'm good with him, and I'll be his mom. So it was like, oh man, that's how I want to raise Ember. Like I want to be in a place to where like I don't have to be nervous because I trust her, not that I have to make a decision for her on who she's with later, which parents can get caught up in. It's like I need to approve. They can make their own decisions, and then you could trust their decision. I thought that was really cool. So she was kind of the highlight for me of that whole thing.
Oh,
just
she was incredible.
A willingness to truly accept what is hurtful, because that had to be hurtful as a parent to know that your kid wasn't chosen first, and that it's kind of a messy situation. And then also to just support your daughter and be like, I'm whatever she makes her happy, I'm down with, and
100%.
And I will go above and beyond that, and I will bring you into my family.
Yeah, it was so beautiful.
It was beautiful.
It was beautiful, and it also really kind of hit home to me when Zack brought that up about, why, when Bliss had said, "Oh, my family hasn't, approved of boyfriends in the past." That was really what made him nervous. And then I went, oh, was that the final thing that made him choose Arena? Is just his own insecurities about things that he had struggled with in the past with other families? And was that really the actual reason that he ended up going there? And now for him to have this moment where this amazing woman is like, let me hold your hand. And, and he's like, yeah, there's only going to be one mom if there's kids because my mom's gone. And she's like, well, I'm going to be your mom.
Yeah. And
for him to have this moment, I was crying. I was like, I want this for both of them. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, 100%.
So I hope and pray that it works and that they get married, but I am nervous that it's just too fast because of, honestly, the damage that Zack did by not choosing Bliss initially and now her having to process through that. So,
totally.
All right.
Last finale of the couples.
Marshall and Jackie.
Oof, rough business.
This whole entire series, these 3 episodes with Marshall and Jackie was so hard to watch. I could barely watch it. Like it was my stomach just like
tough.
It was tough. It was so tough.
Tough.
And
we saw it early.
Yeah.
We were trying to be all like positive about it. We saw it early. We saw it in Mexico when she's like, he's my little dumbass and like all this stuff. We're like, oh no. Like, I mean, to boil it all down, there's a lot of things that happened over these 3 episodes.
Yes, honestly, it was a constant argument.
Yeah,
it was
a constant argument.
Before his family came over, argument.
Yeah.
Him leaving, him coming back, argument. After the party, argument, everything.
I think it boils down to just a straight up, she likes him as a person and is not attracted to him in a romantic relationship way. So she's like, I've dated one type of guy my whole life. There's this new guy. He really cares about me. He's a really good man. I like that. But my body isn't reacting the same way as my head is. And because of that, instead of taking a deep breath, cutting it off, she's going to burn it to the ground.
Yeah.
She's going to, like, instead of just being like, you know what? I tried.
Mm-hmm.
I tried to make my head connect to my heart. It's not working. She's now going, I'm going to make this a toxic waste fire. And I'm going to make him pay, and I'm going to make off all pay, and I'm going to burn it to the ground. I'm going to break hearts. Like, that's what's going on at this point, is like, she's just unwilling to just accept the fact that it's not happening. You know what I mean? And so she's just going to make him pay for it. And so because of that, it's become manipulation. It's become, hurtful comments. It's become, basically going after his personality and his manliness. It's about, flirting with other guys in front of him. It's just like, it's gotten to this. It's almost like she wants him to break it off with her so that she doesn't have to be the one to do it. It's almost like you can just rip the Band-Aid off for me. So I'm going to make this hell.
Yeah.
Until you wore on away.
Yeah. It was like the first few episodes, and even in Mexico when we were feeling all these things, it was like if she would have just, because clearly doesn't have that attraction to him in that way. If she would have just walked away then, that would have been fine. But now the way that she is treating him is so unfair. And, when they had the conversation where he left and then overnight and then came back and she was packing and it was about him in the bedroom, right? Number one, this conversation about the way that your bedroom habits is already so unbelievably personal with that having a camera in your face. It's just I can't imagine. But then the conversation about like her saying to him that like he wasn't being manly enough or something like that, which is also just so upsetting. That there's this narrative that like when someone is sensitive and wanting to like be communicative and talk about your feelings, that's not manly. That's just so not true. And it was all just so toxic and painful. Now there was a moment where then he said, I thought that you were a project, which I was like, ugh. Marshall, not cool.
Well, I felt like he was getting beat up, and so he threw a hook. It was one of those, and it was like he even apologized to it afterwards.
He's
like, sorry, I shouldn't have said
and
that.
he was like, "This is what I meant," and you saw, and it was not okay for him to say. But I think at that point, again, we're not seeing so many of the behind the scenes conversations with them, because every time we see them, it's post a fight, so we don't even really know all the details of what's going on. But it felt like to me, like when you're feeling so worn down and you throw that jab and it's like, you shouldn't do that. That doesn't make it okay to say that, even when you're feeling this way. But he just seemed like it was, you're talking about how he is in the bedroom publicly and now you're going to get defensive. And it wasn't right. But I mean, I understood feeling pushed up against the wall in that way. And it just, watching it is so frustrating because Marshall over and over and over again, and then they have that conversation later after the party, is like, please tell me exactly what you need from me. Like, I need you to tell me what you mean. You're not giving me examples. And throughout this whole episode, he's like, please explain to me what exactly I can do that I'm not doing. Even when she's having her moments of stress and she's walking away, he's like, do you need me to take a walk around the block? And he's giving solutions, but she's like, no, you being around is stressing me out. And so he's trying to ask questions to provide solutions, and she won't give them to him. And she's just acts then frustrated, like, oh, bro, I don't want to even hear about this right now. It's too late. But then the follow through is always like, her hugging him and being like, just love me, just love me. And then that to me is where watching it, whether it's conscious or not, the manipulation is coming through on her end. That is just so not okay. That it's like, you don't want to be with him. Let him go.
That's all it is.
Don't then try to pull it back in. And I don't know if that's because she's battling her head and her heart and thinking like, I should be with him, but I'm not really feeling it, but I'm going to try to make it work. And then it's manipulation dance is going to go on. Or if she's just like, this is being filmed and I don't want to come off a certain way and then like ditch him. I don't quite know, but the whole thing is just, I mean, it's ending, obviously. This whole thing is going to catch on fire. I
mean, the way I look at it, though, is like that, like now that we've seen a decent amount, and obviously there's more to come. So a lot of you guys know what's happening, but we're like, we're experiencing this in our way. But like, what I think it is that Jackie clearly is just like, I don't want to be with you. I don't like you. I don't like who you are, is the problem. So when someone feels that way and then that person goes up and goes, what can I do better? It triples the anxiety. It triples the ick of like, I got to get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
He is doing everything he can to figure out what she wants. But when someone is like, I want to be gone, you even talking.
Yeah.
No matter what you say, I don't even hear it. I am just in panic mode. Right. So what she's doing is, like you said, instead of letting him go, she is going to burn this thing to the ground and torture him in the process.
But the thing that makes it to me beyond then not okay is that, yes, I understand then once you get the ick, you're like anyone being like, are you good? Are you good? But she continues to give him hope.
Well, no,
so of course he's stuck on the line because then she's like, I love you. I love you. I love your eyes. And then she sits with his beautiful family. And which, by the way, his sister is the coolest style in the world and she's stunning. I just want to throw that there. I was just admiring her style and her outfit and her makeup. Yeah, all that. But she was affirming, yes, I love him. Yes, we're supposed to be together. He's the person that's the one for me. And then when they're arguing, then she's holding him crying like, I'm sorry, just love me. Like all that stuff is keeping him locked in.
100%. But what I think that is manipulation in order to cease it lowers the like ick level for a moment. Because what happens is she goes, when I pull away and become like brutal to him, he becomes more interested in how to figure out me and how to please me, which then pushes me even more away. When I compliment him, he seems to calm down a little bit. That's the vibe I'm getting. So she's using manipulation tactics in order to get him to stop talking about it. So it's almost like when he's in the middle of going like, what do you want from me? And she goes, you have pretty eyes on you. She's hoping that'll like get him to stop talking. And then when he goes, yeah, I just need to know like what's our next step. And she goes, just love me. She's using manipulation tactics in order to get him to stop pursuing her, basically. Because he's like trying to be this like amazing guy that's pursuing her and trying to figure her out and help her and be there next to her. And she's like already so off that like she's using all these tactics just to get him to stop.
Yeah.
She's putting him through the ringer.
Yeah.
She realizes that he is not gonna pull the plug. So she's like, I'm gonna do what I do, and I'm just like gonna rip this thing to shreds until this guy's like in a puddle, I guess.
This is not gonna end well. That's for sure. I mean,
you can just see the panic
on
both their ends, but you can see her like starting to just like spiral.
Yeah.
And so she's just taking him down.
And the thing that's hard too when you're watching, it's like he knows. He knows what's going down, but at the same time too, when you're in a relationship that's like toxic like that, and this other person is but then also continuing to affirm, no, I love you, you're the right person for me. And you're battling that, like, I can see that this isn't working, but at the same time, I love this person, and they're giving me what I want for a minute and then yanking it away.
Yep.
I have to say this, hopping into the whole party situation, right? Chelsea's birthday party, which, by the way, the fact that on Chelsea's birthday party, she's like, oh my God, you have to bring my ex to my birthday party?
Yeah,
like, great, amazing. Happy birthday to me.
Yeah, exactly.
But they brought in numerous past people because Love is Blind is here to try to stir some shit up.
Josh there.
Josh walks in.
Yeah.
Now, what we can gather from Josh the moment he walks in is that none of the guys liked him. Now, we didn't see him a ton in the pods, minus him and Marshall's slight confrontation. Now it all makes sense to why Marshall was really frustrated by this guy. None of the guys like him. He walked in, and you know when Brett doesn't like somebody, there's a problem. Brett's like, oh, Josh is here.
No one
like,
liked Kwame. Was like, I tried to get this guy kicked off 5 times. Marshall obviously hates him.
And the second he was in the room, all the other women were like, who is he? He needs to leave. He got very drunk very quickly and was just cruising all around the party. Hey, ladies, what's going on? It's me. Check me out. It was so brutal. But what I wanted to say is what is very telling of Marshall to me is when Josh goes over completely intoxicated and grabs Marshall.
Mr. Steal Your Girl's here.
Yeah, steal your girl. And then he starts kind of shoving him around, and he's drunk and he's trying to be like, hey, we're bros for life. It's all good. It's all good. But then throwing in jabs like, what? Are you being a bitch?
He goes, what are you looking at, bitch? Or something like that. It was like, oh my gosh. And then he goes, right after that, he goes, hey man, we're good though, right? Don't let this change us. Change us?
But he just kept...
He hates you.
He hates you. He hates your guts. But he kept just putting his hands physically on him and being playful, quote unquote, but then throwing in these jabs. And the way Marshall handled that is all I needed to see.
He kept his composure. I would have lost
my mind. I'm like, and on top of this too, we see that Marshall and Jackie don't show up together.
No.
Because they're in an argument. And so already Marshall's on edge about his relationship with Jackie. And then Josh walks in. If I'm Josh or if I'm Marshall, I'm losing my mind. Marshall stood there. He recognized that Josh was clearly intoxicated. He smiled. He goes, yeah, man, it's crazy. Yep. And just kind of stood there and tried to ignore him until Josh walked away.
Yeah.
And to me, I'm like, that's a man.
Yeah.
Like that was like some stand-up shit. And he recognized his intoxication and was like, what's important for me right now is my relationship with Jackie. So I'm not going to go here.
Impressive.
But then Josh
pulls
pulls Jackie aside and starts opening up about how he's in love with her.
The main thing that I thought, like, I didn't even think that was that bad, to be honest with you, because I'm like, he's coming here to shoot a shot. That's
Sure.
a part of the show. I was a little bit like, this is what they do. This is what the Bachelor franchise always does. They drop in someone like to last minute try to steal someone away. I was like, okay, not blown away. He wasn't going to do this.
No.
The main thing that was a problem was when he said, by the way, Marshall cries with every girl, and you're not special at all. Just so you know, that was dirty.
So
you know
dirty.
what I mean? Right after he just said, hey, bro, we're homies. So to me, that's
snaky
what
as
I already
shit.
didn't like him, but that's what took me over the edge of like, you're a bad guy.
Yeah. And he
because like that's your opening line. Instead of trying to be like, hey, you should be with me because of me, your opening line is to talk shit on the guy you're with.
Yeah, by the way, this guy's fake.
It's like, and Marshall, it's like, of all the people you could talk shit on, there's nothing to talk shit about. He's like the nicest guy ever. It's like kind, sweet, caring, and it's like you're gonna hate on him because he cried with other people. It's like, that's insane.
No. And I, to be completely frank with you, I don't even think I believe it. I think Josh is just, I think he's lying.
But here's
and
the
even
thing.
if he did, whatever.
But I'm starting to kind of love Jackie and Josh together. Because I'm like, I don't want Jackie with Marshall. Marshall's like kind, sweet. They're like communicative, mature. Jackie's toxic and wild. So is Josh. Maybe there's a connection there.
I mean,
let them have their toxicity.
Yeah, I mean, it's just not going to be, it's not healthy, but yeah.
Oh, well, we're not here for health. I'm saying Marshall health. You think Marshall and Jackie are healthy together?
No, of
It's a
course
nightmare.
not. Of course not.
So let the toxicity reign with each other. Like, that's perfect. If anything, it's going to be the if this does happen.
I mean, it's the villains
it's gonna
uniting.
be it's going to be a savior. It's going to be Marshall being saved from himself. Because if Marshall keeps digging in and trying to win Jackie over, it's gonna end even worse.
Like, they could get to the altar.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But if Josh can come in and swoop, break Marshall's heart, at least Marshall will then be willing and now open to find someone new.
Yeah.
So
that's true.
as sad as it all is and as messed up, Marshall should realize that like there might be a blessing in this.
Yeah. Yeah. No.
Sometimes you need
understood.
the Band-Aid just to be ripped right off.
That's true. That's true.
So I'm kind of like, go. It's so messed up. It's so brutal. But like, quickly as possible,
Yeah.
derail that train.
Oh, well, when he first came up to Jackie, I was not sure about how she was feeling about Josh. Like, she looked like kind of guarded and like not vibing it at first. And I was like, oh, I don't think she's into this, even considering that her and Marshall were fighting. But then
We see
obviously we see that Jackie does not show up for the wedding dress fitting with all the other women. Marshall is at the tux fitting with all the other men, doesn't know Jackie's not going. He's planning on getting married. She doesn't show up. And she's at a coffee date with Josh, and he's bringing her flowers and letting her know how he feels. And we are left with that cliffhanger.
And like Marshall said it best, if you can steal her, you can have her.
He said that?
He said that to Josh when Josh was like, here comes Mr. Steal Your Girl. And he goes, well, then if you can steal her, you should have her. Now, I don't know if that was just a defense mechanism he was trying to use, but he said the words, and there is some truth to that. If Josh can come out of nowhere and just steal her,
it's
like
not
I'm
meant
saying,
to be.
it's not meant to be. It's probably a good thing for you.
It's not meant to be. I mean, what a doozy at the end. What a doozy at the end. So yes, this is where we are left. It is rough. I'm going to make a call now. I still think, I used to think that Paul and Micah were getting married. I don't think so now.
Okay.
I'm going to say the only people getting married are Tiffany and Brett.
I think Bliss and Zack are going to get married too.
Really?
Yes, I'm calling it now.
I mean, I just think that it's just going to be too much. I think that, I don't know if they'll break up. I feel like maybe they're going to be like a Paul Micah where maybe they'll stay together and keep dating, but they're not going to get married. But
if he doesn't mess anything up, it's happening. That's what I think.
I hope so. I genuinely think Tiffany and Brett are the only ones getting married.
That's what I think.
Guess. Okay, so you think those are the only two couples?
And Paul and Micah.
Okay, so you think all three of them are going to get married?
You're right. They're not going to break up, but they might not get married. I don't know, man. The show is forcing everyone to get married. So, and everyone seems to be forced into it. So, I mean, it almost seems like break up or get married. I say Paul Micah, Zack Bliss, Tiffany Brett.
Okay. I say Tiffany and Brett gets married. Zack and Bliss don't make it to the altar. I think they like decide right before that they're just going to keep dating.
Okay.
I think Paul breaks up with Micah at the altar. I think Kwame breaks up with Chelsea at the altar.
Yeah.
These are my guesses.
Yeah.
So.
And Jackie and Marshall get married and have kids.
I literally didn't even include them because I'm like, it's not even going to happen.
And they end up having this gorgeous relationship.
No, I don't. I think they're done.
They're not even
I think next episode they're done. There's no way that they're stay together next episode. I feel like let's just say Josh and Jackie sit together and they have a date.
They get married? Holy shit.
Can you imagine?
That would be lit TV, I will tell you that.
Let's just say they sit down, or when they sit down next episode and have their date, let's just say nothing even comes of that. I think when Marshall finds out about that it's just over in general. I think that's going to be the last straw. Yeah. So, all right. Can't wait for next week where we'll be going over 10 through the finale, baby. Yeah. We'll finally find out. Hooray.
This has been fun.
It's been so fun.
Emotionally exhausting, I will say that.
Honest to God. I mean, obviously it's reading off of my energy to the life coach, clearly.
Seriously. We're on the rocks too, guys.
We're on the rocks. Tune in next week to find out how it's going.
I don't want to be married to a mother, so.
All right. Should we do one call home?
Of course.
Let's do a call home.
Remember, you can always call home.
Hey, Mom and Dad.
Hi.
So I desperately need advice. Two of my best friends in the world are getting married on the exact same day in different states. And I am expected to be a bridesmaid in both of them.
Oh my God.
And while that's already a really impossible situation, it gets a little bit worse. So friend A is not technically engaged yet. So she essentially caught her boyfriend kind of cheating, messing around. I don't know the full extent of it. But as a last-ditch effort to get her to not leave him, he said that they could go ahead and put a deposit in on a wedding venue.
Oh, that's not good.
So they've booked a wedding venue, and they're not engaged yet. He keeps giving kind of BS excuses as to why he hasn't proposed, but he keeps saying he's going to. And honestly, I really don't have high hopes that he is, but I'm trying really hard to be supportive of that friend. And she fully expects me to not be in my other friend's wedding and be in hers. And I'm just struggling because I love them both equally. It's already impossible to choose, but I also feel like it's really hard when one isn't technically engaged yet. I feel like that puts me in a really, really hard position. And I just really need advice. I don't know what to do. Love you guys. I love your podcast so much.
Love you. Wow. I am so sorry. That is
what a Band-Aid.
I mean,
babe, I know about this other girl, but I booked the wedding venue just to show you how much I love you.
That is, that's a whole other conversation. Holy smokes. Oh my God. Okay. I'm trying to process here.
You want me to go while you process?
Sure.
All right, here's the thing. I'm already a little interested, though. This one friend you're telling me is you're really close friends with, but yet you don't know the details of the cheating, which signals to me that, like, why aren't y'all talking about the details of the cheating? You know what I mean? Like,
maybe the friend doesn't want to.
Well, that's what I'm getting at is, like, if the friend is already hiding all the details because if it's awkward or embarrassing or whatever, and then the boyfriend hasn't even asked her to marry, and then books a wedding venue to, like, cover up the cheating. Like, I think, and then you choose that one over the person who's engaged and getting married and happy in love. I think if your friend doesn't understand that, then you need to take a look at your own relationship with that friend and really go, is this friendship in a healthy enough place for me to burn my other friend over for? Because someone's gonna get hurt.
Yeah.
So the way I look at it is, like, if I was in this situation where I was kind of in this toxic relationship, I would understand if my friend was going to be in the other wedding because the other wedding was, like, much more solidified and solid and mine was much more, like, up in the air. I wouldn't put it against them for doing that. If your friend's going to put it against you for doing that, despite all the drama surrounding it, I would say don't be terrified of that friendship maybe taking a little bit of a back seat or like pulling back a little bit and being need to be reformed after all this drama gets settled. Yeah. Because it sounds to me like a very unhealthy kind of situation going on over there, and you're going to get dragged into this drama, and you're going to miss out on your other friend's wedding who you already committed to too. So for me, it's a little bit like, sounds like an unhealthy situation. Sounds like she's keeping things from you a little bit. Be friends. Everything's still cool, but maybe it's okay to let this relationship, let it figure itself out. If she gets hurt, she gets hurt. Tell her how much you love her. Tell her you're there for her. Everything's cool. But this thing is also happening. I got to be there for her. We don't know what's going on your end. Yeah. I know what's going on here. You know, I love you. I'm there for you. I'll fly in the next day to be there. I'll go to your bachelorette party. Like, I'm there for it all, but I just can't, you know. I think that like, And another thing I would say is I'd love to know the dynamics of the other friend. If the other friend is being, I understand whatever works if you need to go to the other wedding, that's another sign that like that friendship might be a little bit more mature and a little more solid. Anytime a friend is like, you need to do this, and if you don't do this, you're a bad friend. I'm a little always weary about that. You know what I mean? I'm always a little weary about like people putting too much pressure on each other.
Yeah.
You know,
I would be very curious to know how much you've talked to each one of the future brides about the other person. Like, I'm curious how much your friend in the non-proposed to relationship, if she, like, how much she knows. Like, does she know that you have this other wedding? Does your other friend know that you potentially, like, do they know yet about the other person's wedding being on the same day? Have you talked to them about that yet? If you haven't, I definitely would. And I know that you sound like such a kind-hearted person that you might feel like, oh, I don't want to put that stress on both of them. But you are in this pickle, and I think it's very much okay to communicate with both of them how you're feeling, because you're like, I feel quite torn. With the friend who's not actually engaged yet, I do think that a conversation is necessary. I totally get how you're saying you want to be there for her. And I understand too how she might be feeling very on edge, and what she also might be very reactive now too, because she's hurting so much. She's
definitely on edge.
Like, she might be the best friend ever, but because all of this is happening, she might be a little more reactive because she's feeling
insecure about a relationship.
All of that stuff. So I get how you want to be careful and be supportive of her and there for her. But I do think it's worth a conversation to be like, I want to be there for you in any which way I can be, but I'll be real. I am really struggling right now because I also have this, and I know that you guys are a little bit on the rocks and you guys haven't gotten engaged yet. And is this something that we can talk about?
Yeah.
It's, quite the impossible situation, but I would be interested to hear what it would be like to have a conversation with both of them, and also with the other friend. Again, I don't know the dynamics with the other friend who already is engaged, but how that friend feels. Like, does that friend know the other friend and go, oh, I know she's struggling right now. That friend might be like, you know what, don't worry about it. Go to her wedding instead. She needs the support. Like, you if you communicate it, and maybe you already have, and maybe they're both like, you need to be at my wedding. But maybe your other friend too might be like, go to the other wedding. She needs us right now, or needs you right now. So, go do that. So communication, I guess. I don't have an easy answer for this one.
There's no perfect answer. It's going to be messy. My vote though is always a little bit like, in this case, is like, go with the one that also considers you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If
trust your gut in it too.
But I'm saying also be aware if one of the friends is considerate of you. Oh, I see you're in a tough spot. Like, whatever works for you, go. To me, that like you're also realizing you're investing in a relationship too. And you don't want to be put in a place where like you're a bad guy if you don't perform to their standards. Like personally, it's just as friendships. Like, that's not friendship if you're not just performative for someone. But if someone's like, I need you, I love you, can you be there for me? That's different than if you don't do this, you're a bad friend.
Yeah, no,
that's not a good like dynamic. So be aware of that. Yeah,
I would say trust your gut. Either way, this is going to be hard, and I'm really sorry that you're going to have to walk through this. But no, you need to know before you go into this. You're not making the wrong decision, whatever you choose. You are in a tough situation. Whatever you choose is the right thing for you to do, and feel confident of that. And no matter how any of the friends are making you feel, you're put in this impossible situation. And so don't put any of that pressure, or don't feel bad, as best you can, because it's not on you. So
Good luck.
Yeah.
We love
Good
you.
luck out there. Sending you all the love. Family.
We love
It's
you
been
all.
real. We love you all, and we'll talk next Wednesday for the finale.
We'll see you next week with 2 episodes.
Yes, 2 episodes next week.
Yes,
All
yes.
right, everybody. Love you.
Bye.
Bye.